clogged the toilet too well? What do you mean too well? All right.
Okay.
Thank you for the update. Don't use that toilet. And tell your sister not to use that toilet.
Hall of Fame pooper right there.
Too well.
Too well?
Too good at this.
What? Here we are, Abe. Cast Iron Brains, a podcast that is 100 days. 100 days into the second Trump. 100 years. I think that's more accurate. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah. Here we are. Lori's here, too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
My feet hurt.
Lori's feet hurt. Tonight is Tuesday, April the 29th, 2025. 100 days into the Trump presidency. Let's see. Let me get out the old trusty calculator here. 365 times 4 is 1,460. That's 100 over 1,460. Is some pretty easy math there. We are 6%, 6.8%
Look at that.
Getting there.
into the second Trump presidency.
Around this time, 100 plus days into the first term, wasn't that the Comey gets fired? Like, I remember it was like in early May, around this window.
Sounds about right.
No one's
It
been
is.
fired yet.
Quite something that it's only been that long. On the other hand, 6.8% of the presidency done. Midterms are like right around the corner.
Right, yeah. It's like a marathon. You're like a couple of miles in. You're like, oh, man, 23 more miles. Like, fuck. But then, before you know it, you're done.
Yeah, before you know it, you're fucking lying
But
in
before that,
lying in the
you
gutter.
want to die.
Unbearable cramps. Watching everyone pass you by. You have a good weekend, Abe?
I did. I actually did a couple of things this weekend. I did the hike. I went to Kennesaw Mountain. So some Civil War angle. It was like a national park with a friend. This is like a thing I do now at the end of the month, like the last Saturday, going back a couple of months. And
So you have
Don't question it.
on the calendar the last Saturday of the month you go to a mountain. Is that the new
you know
thing?
how? Yes, that's how it goes. You know how there's the stereotype on men, like you need to have some contrivance to hang, and this is one of them. Let's go to this mountain, do a hike for a few hours, grab some coffee, and call it a day.
Well, there you go. It's like that's nice. A little standing date with a buddy.
Yeah, good times. And we'll see
Is
if others
this somebody
join.
who's similarly untethered to the world, or is he like desperate to get out of the house on a Saturday after you spent all week at work? He's not been home in 5 fucking days, but it's 2 hours into the weekend, and he's like, I can't stand these fucking kids or the old ball and chain. I got to get out with my boy Abe.
He's never expressed that explicitly, but the latter. He's married, 2 kids, work from home. He hardly goes out, and so this is an outlet.
There you go.
So it works out well. Also, the day after that, this was Saturday morning. On Sunday.
Well, first on Kennesaw Mountain, I'm unfamiliar with Kennesaw Mountain. The only mountain I ever heard tell of in my time in Georgia was Stone Mountain.
Yeah,
which,
the other mountain, yes.
Apparently you had not been to until fairly recently. And then also you went to some mountain east of Atlanta.
Yeah,
not all that long
Arabia
ago.
Mountain. Yeah, so basically
You
Stone
should
Mountain.
You should go to the highest point in Georgia.
Yeah, somebody, I saw somebody later that day on Saturday, and we're like, we're trying to figure out a thing for last week in May. Like, have you been to the tallest thing? I was like, what are you talking about? What is that?
Brasstown Bald?
Yeah,
Why
Brass
do I
something.
think
I was
that?
like, I've never heard of this. So maybe that'll be in the rotation in the next couple of months.
Nice.
But Kennesaw, there's a lot of...
Sorry, never mind.
There's a lot of like, hey, there was a big Civil War fight here. Sherman came down and fucked everybody up, and the war ended. So it was interesting. Like a couple of months ago, or a month ago, I went to Fort Sumter where this whole thing started, and then like this is like near the end of the 4 years coming down Georgia.
Gotcha.
Good times. On Sunday, I don't know if you know this, Bob, but the Atlanta Film Festival was happening.
Didn't know there was such a thing as the Atlanta Film Festival.
Me too. It's like the 50-something.
Oh, wow.
I was like, whoa, good to know.
Where does it take place? At the Fox?
Around one of the locations is there's the Plaza Theater, which is a stone's throw away from where I live.
Yeah.
This old beat up theater that they still preserve for historical reasons. So they're like, hey, that'd be a good place to show something. And so they were doing a premiere. Kerry Washington of like Scandal and that sort of thing. She was there. They did the whole,
like a red carpet type deal.
Red carpet, yeah. It was funny. I'm there with my shorts and T-shirts. I'm like, where can I get in? Like, what's going on? I already purchased my ticket. And all these people dolled up. It wasn't just her. All these other people that were in the movie. And it was a very weird showing because it's a sellout. You go in there, you sit down, and she's going to be like, oh, they're going to do a Q&A after, you know. And throughout, she's like, hey, the writer, like, stand up. And the guy's like next to me. And the producer... And then there's the guy like one row away. Like all these people are here. Like all the people that made this movie were in attendance.
And this is before the film starts or after?
This is after. So they.
So you didn't watch this movie knowing that like your reaction was going to be gauged by the writer sitting 2 seats over from you.
No. But then it would have been good to know because what if I did like what a dreadful fucking movie. I did not share that with my seatmate. But no, they gave her some award, some bullshit.
You should have given him a card. It's Cast Iron Brains. We do movie reviews at the end of every episode.
That's right. What they said was before the movie started, they're like, there is a review embargo till May 8th. The movie comes out May 9th. So I was like, am I duty bound to not express my thoughts on this movie a week, 10 days before?
By thoughts on this movie, we mean Abe's usual 3 minutes of just sheer spoiling the film for everyone.
And then saying, it was a movie.
Yeah, it was
the
best
right thing that could possibly happen for this podcast is for me to include in the show description that we are reviewing this Kerry Washington movie and have the attorneys for the film make a big stink about us blowing the review embargo. That would only be good. So I encourage you to do so about 90 minutes from now.
Well, yeah, stay tuned until the end. The movie is called Shadow Force, but it was at least entertaining the people that were there. Everybody's just, like it's just everything just seems so contrived. Everybody has this like, all these cameras and it like maybe it looks great on the other end, but it just seems like, what is this? Let's just go watch this movie. This is very hot. It was like at 7:00 in the evening in Atlanta. Everybody's dressed.
You got to look behind the scenes of a big time Hollywood event, and you felt that it was contrived and fake.
That was an Atlanta event.
Yes,
that's your takeaway.
That was my take, but it was enjoyable. At least the people watching part.
Well, good. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Were you? This was not part of your like free or your subscription service,
out of pocket.
Right?
Whatever, $20. This was not part of my AMC whatever, and
they only charge you $20 to go see this world premiere event with Kerry Washington there and everything. Wow!
Yes. And almost all of that, like it was like $15 for a drink. They will. It doesn't matter how old and beat up the place is. I mean, this is like I think from the 1930s. This building, everything around you feels olden, but the pricing on the beers. Very modern.
Well, they're not going to charge you a nickel for a...
Come on, they should. They should do some sort of gimmick night.
Did you ask a question? A Q&A at the end? Did you...
No, I think like 20 minutes in, I was like, oh, boy, this is not going to end, is it? And then I just kind of left.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We had a lot of baseball this weekend. Tonight is the only night we have this week that will not be spent hours upon hours down at the ballpark.
I'm kind of sad.
Kind of sad? It's nice to have one.
Okay.
Breather.
Except on the one, I'm doing this.
Yeah, but this is fun. You have a
For
blast
you, this
doing
is fun. For me, this is like another thing that's what you like.
I mean, there's a whole upstairs, lady. You can go watch some bad TV. Abe and I can chat enjoyably.
Yeah, I know.
How's the concession business?
It's good, I think.
Yeah,
Good?
I mean, concession manager.
Yeah, any word
Lori
on barbecue?
approves. Nope, no word on the barbecue yet.
Gonna run out of barbecue.
Well, if we run out of barbecue, maybe we'll sell some more hot dogs and some more red Gatorade.
Yeah, Bob's being an asshole.
Red Gatorade. I'm gonna let all of the other colors of Gatorade sell out, so that we can do nothing but fill these kids with petroleum-based dyes in the form of red 40.
Are you going to be obnoxious about it? This is still a free country. Poisoning yourself.
It's a free fucking country, and my freedom insists that I sell only red Gatorades.
That's right.
The kids want the other colors, and I'm out of all of the other colors.
It's fine. We run out. It'll be fine. Anyway, only night that we weren't at the ball field, and yet I'm wearing this ridiculous Johnson Elementary polo shirt because I went to the... Of course, there was a scheduled spring dance party at the school PTO put on, so I had to be there for that. And you know what my task was tonight?
What's that?
So last year at the spring PTO dance party, we had this Kona Ice truck come. Kona Ice, perhaps you're familiar with it, perhaps not. It's a mobile snow cone facility, and they have... it's just shaved ice. They put it in a cup. And then you can self-serve yourself if you want. They have on the side of the truck, like a fucking fountain set up, basically. And you pull the handle and the sugar water comes pouring out of the side of the truck. And you pour it over your ice and you go about your day filled with the sugar. Anyway, we used them last year. And about halfway through our event, the guy comes up to my fellow PTO lady and starts the shakedown routine. Like, hey, this is way more kids than we anticipated here. I'm going to have to go get more ice, or we're going to have to shut this whole thing down so that agreed upon price is only going to cover the first half of this event.
Right.
We're going to need another pile of money. And so we didn't want to deal with those assholes again.
Right.
Although I looked into, because it spurred me to go look into how this whole Kona Ice thing works. It's this massive franchise fee this dumbass paid. It's like, no wonder he's trying to get every penny out of
some
us.
of that. Yeah.
But to get one of these, you got to buy the fucking truck, and then on top of that, I think you have to pay like a $40,000 franchise fee.
What?
To the Kona Ice people? Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow, what a racket!
Yeah, quite a racket. Anyway, and it's good. Like, it's a decent product. The Kona Ice is.
If you're into shaved ice,
if you like shaved ice, it's a good.
If you don't like that, it's disgusting and
Is
awful.
there a healthy markup on? Like, I would imagine, right?
From,
I mean, how much
from cold
from
water?
free?
Right. Yeah. So like,
Yeah, there's quite a healthy markup.
Maybe not such a racket. Maybe you can turn that into a profit in like 2 years, right? I mean,
it's a racket on top of a racket, right? Like, this is America.
The racket is
all.
passed down to the customers.
Yes, it's rackets all the way down.
It's rackets all the way down. Anyway, we didn't want to deal with that guy again, and so we went with this other fucking franchised sweet treat company called I forget what it's called. It's an Italian ice company, and they make very good. It's a good product, but again,
are they a local operation, or are they like?
No, the name of this Italian ice outfit is called Sunset Slush.
Oh.
And they get it comes from a fucking the ice product comes from this place outside of Boston, and it gets shipped to a commissary in North Carolina, and then they have to like go fucking get it. It's
wow,
like
it's
this
a whole
fucking thing.
Yeah,
but the product itself is apparently cheap enough to justify fucking
all of that.
The carbon impact on the environment. Anyway. A much nicer group of people, at least in terms of the way they comport themselves and presented themselves. Even to the point where he was still doling out a couple of extras after we had already sealed the deal and cut the check on the entire operation, which was nice of him. Obviously, lovely people. I recommend Sunset Slush over Kona Ice. However, my objection to the entire arrangement was that we needed to attempt to limit the number of Sunset Slush Italian ices that were doled out as the evening went on, because you don't want to just announce it's a total fucking free-for-all, right? Because then the kids will get fucking 7 each, beclown themselves with too much sugar, and then people will be mad at us probably for allowing their children to run rampant with the frozen sugar water. So it's like 1 per kid, right? And the way that we attempted to accomplish this was not entirely well thought out,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Can I share what my idea was?
By all means.
Okay. So my idea was give each kid upon entrance a wristband.
Okay.
Okay. And when you get your slush, cut the wristband.
That's a great system if you have an entrance. If instead what you have is like a fucking 10-acre elementary school campus
There's a table.
They come from all areas. How do you then identify?
Yeah, they got. Oh, I didn't get.
What about that
yet.
Iraqi vote thing? You dip your thumb.
So my thought was, well, we'll just fucking stamp them, right? And you put the stamp on the hand or the Sharpie X on the palm or something like that, and be done with it. There's not even a hand washing facility here.
Right.
They'd have to try to like lick the mark off of their hand.
Not against what kids do.
No, not against it.
Not
but
above it either.
It would fail. You can't lick a Sharpie off your hand.
Right.
Try as you might. And I have, obviously. This is how I know. I speak from my lived experience. So I was tasked with the handing out of tickets for slushes, which is a fine way to keep track of how many slushes are sold, quote unquote, because we paid by the slush at the end of the situation, right? We didn't have to meet a minimum and we didn't have a maximum. It was just however many of these things you dole out over the course of the evening, we will cut you a check at $3 per, and then you'll be on your way. And so the way that we were tracking that was my PTO colleague had stolen or misappropriated one of those rolls of raffle tickets. You know, like a big roll of raffle tickets. She'd gotten one of those from her work that she just found in like a supply closet somewhere. And she said, here, hand out one of these to each kid so that they can go up to the tent there and get their sunset slush, but only one per person. It's like, okay, what about siblings? Like, yes. And other family members, yes. All right, so just one per anyone who wants one, just give them one, but only one, right? We're only doing one. And so I then spent the next 2 hours arguing with young children about whether or not they had already gotten...
What happened to the X's?
Their
what about
sunset.
the X
Oh,
on the
that's
hand?
what I asked. I said, what about the kids who want to come back? And I was like, can we mark them in some way? And she's like, well, you get a stamp out of my car. You want a stamp? I'm like, yes, probably. Like there should be a system. Right. And she treated it as a joke. And I said, yeah, it's a joke for you because you're not going to be the one who's arguing with a bunch of 4 to 11-year-olds about whether or not they've already had a fucking slush, right? And my worst fears were instantly realized, where within 5 minutes of the first kid finishing his first slush was I reapproached for another ticket.
Without a ticket.
Right, because he doesn't have the ticket anymore. He handed the ticket in.
Right.
He put the sugar water into his face. It smeared all over his lips. And I said, are you sure you didn't already have one? I asked the child with a blue lips and a blue tongue because he had just finished 30 seconds earlier slurping down a blue raspberry sunset slush. And those were the ones who at least like I knew I could like joke with and fuck with because like you are a little liar, you little shit. And then they would come back 5 minutes later and be like, oh, my brother wants one. I was like, all right, bring him over here.
Yeah.
Let's see this brother. And then it would be, oh, my mother wants one. And I was like, okay, let's see mom. There's one little girl who lives in our neighborhood who's very bright and loquacious, very strong command of the language, smarter than she should be at 10 years old probably. She pestered me like 3 times. And first of all, I know you. So like fucking strike. Like I don't know her name, but like I see her around all the fucking time. Yeah. So it's way easier when you see 300 people to know whether or not this one person that, I probably recognize 100 of them because I'm in the, see them around all the time.
Bob's a man about town.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they know me. I know them. Yeah. This is how this goes. But like, I know I gave you one. You were one of the first fucking 5 kids I gave one to. Like, you're not going to get this over on me. And so she comes back later and she's like, yeah, but my mom wants one. I was like, all right, have her come over. I'll give her one. And she's like, oh, no, she can't move. I was like, what do you mean she can't move? Well, she can't. I was like, what, she's disabled all of a sudden? Because I saw her yesterday on a run. And And she's like, no, she just can't. And so like fucking 10 minutes later, mom comes over with daughter in tow and says, yeah, okay, I'll have one for me. Yeah. I was like, oh, what are we doing here, Mom? You're trying to, like, you're the one who should be the person who tells the fucking shit-stained daughter, you can't have two of these fucking things because those are the fucking rules, right? Like, the rule is you don't have two. It's not because we don't want to give away more Sunset Slushes. It's because we don't want there to be a situation where one kid has multiples and all of their fucking friends are like, that's not fair, right? So it's a one person, one slush scenario. And this is where I was like, yeah, she was just telling me you'd gone paraplegic on us all of a sudden. Like your daughter's running a fucking scam here and you're rewarding her with a second goddamn Sunset Slush. Not okay.
Was she the only parent conspiring?
No, multiple parents and older siblings were working together to try to get multiple tickets out of me. There was this one, this little fucking 3 or 4 year old kid wearing a bike helmet because he was scootering his little scooter around the thing, comes up to me towards the end of the evening, and mom is hanging back. But this is like a 4-year-old kid, preschool, probably, maybe kindergarten, not sure. Face covered in sticky residue of Italian ice, and says, oh, could I have a ticket, please? And I said, oh, man, I think you already had one. And he's like, so? I said, well, it's one per person. And he says, but my brother got one. And, like, immediately, like, into the full-on, like, breakdown sob fest.
Wow. Yeah.
Like the world is not fair. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. He did a better job of covering up his situation. He scammed me, or he scammed the other lady who I gave a pile of tickets to, because like it was one per, and I can't give you another one because if I give one to you and you've just made a scene, there's 50 fucking people looking at us, and all of a sudden I'm giving away 50 seconds here, and this is not going to work. And the mom is looking at me like I'm the bad guy.
Like, what's the big deal? Just give him one.
Right.
Like,
just get like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm the bad guy? Control your fucking bratty child.
No, people don't do that.
They don't need a second goddamn Italian ice. They got one. It was free. And by free, I mean the PTO fucking paid for it, which I had to fucking write God knows how many emails to raise the stupid money to have the stupid Italian ice thing, right? Control your fucking children.
They won't do it. They won't do it. They think their children are special. They won't do it.
Do you know how many Afghan refugees we have in this? Like, and I don't want to pick on people who've had it particularly rough by any understanding of what their situation has been, right? Like, these are displaced people, displaced in large part because of wars that we chose to participate in. Whether they were righteous or just is beside the point. But Afghan people here, and this is a group, it's interesting, and I don't mean, again, it's going to sound like I'm fucking besmirching these fine people.
Here it comes.
But there's, if you are a person who has come to this country and at nearly every turn in the first 6 months or whatever, you turn around and somebody is giving you something.
Right.
You come to sort of expect that when you are in certain environments, like not the Walmart, right? Not when you go to the grocery store.
Right.
But when you're in certain environments, this shit's fucking free, right? Like, because that has been your experience.
Yeah.
When you go to the place where your children are going to get outfitted for the next 2 years, and everything on the table is just, hey, just find something that fits and take it, and it's fine. That's what you're accustomed to. So, like at the merch table for the PTO, we have out a bunch of PTO backpack or like PTO branded bags and PTO branded shirts and T-shirts and whatnot and sweatshirts. And PTO fucking school branded, not just PTO, but like it's just the elementary school name on a water bottle, right? And the PTO is trying to sell it for $5 or $10 because we're trying to raise money or whatever. But it just says the school name on it. It's like, oh, school stuff. I know school stuff. School stuff is free because everything at school has been fucking given to me, right? And so they just fucking take the thing that we're selling for $25 and start walking away. And it's like, oh, fuck. Like, now I got to go tackle the Afghanistan refugee to get back the rather expensive merch. Like, no, sorry, man. This isn't the free table that you're so accustomed to.
Yeah.
And like, for what this is just, sometimes you notice things.
Yeah.
The Afghanistan kids were particularly aggressive in their attempts to get second Italian ices. Right?
Oh,
like
I see.
They were not shy about that. I'm not even sure that this was a halal situation, by the way.
It's ice.
It's ice, but like, isn't one of those things like
Gelatin
any of
is that no.
the gum-based things
gelatin,
can be?
but there's no gelatin.
I don't know
in
if
that.
there's gelatin or not in there.
It is gelatin. Gelatin is meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when they told me that when I was young. I'm like, fuck this.
I don't know. I'm going to Google up I didn't think to do this earlier, but
Are you going to use that against them next time? Like,
are Italian ice halal? Generally, Italian ice is considered halal as long as it doesn't contain any forbidden ingredients according to Islamic law. Well, that's not fucking helpful. That's literally just stating the definition.
They're saying generally, unless it's like bacon Italian ice.
Yeah. No pork products, because apparently the gelatin is sometimes derived from pork.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess it's fine.
so
you were a good choice for a school that has a large Afghan refugee population for whom such things would be a concern.
This is a very hostile work environment for you, Bob. You're like trying to like fend off like little kids trying to sneak one on you.
For what it's worth, the one who threw a fucking fit was not an Afghanistan refugee. It was just a spoiled fucking white kid.
how long was this event?
Start to finish, less than 2 hours.
Okay, so Bob worked for 2 hours.
It's not work. I'm not suggesting that this was in any way work. I'm just saying that it was an unpleasant bit of like social experiment done upon me. And yeah, I'm pretty good at like fending them off with irony and sarcasm, especially the ones who are obvious liars. And then this one kid, cute little dude, comes up to me. He got one of the first ones, right? And they were there even before I got there, just hanging out, waiting for this whole shindig to start. And I give him one of the first 5 tickets, and he goes and he gets his thing, and it's fucking gone in like fucking 15 seconds, right? And he comes right back up to me and just puts the hand out. And I'm like, no, man, you only get one. I'm sorry. And he looks at me like for a long minute before backing away and watching me continue to hand out tickets to all of these other kids. And he realizes at some point, like if he can like make himself anonymous in some way, then how the hell am I supposed to? So he sends his buddy up to try to get one, but he had also already had one. So like, okay, no, that didn't work. He comes up to me about an hour later now, and he just puts his hand over his mouth like this. And he puts his hand out, and he says, "Can I have one more ticket, please?" And I said, and I bent down. I got on his level, as I like to do with these kids, and I put my hand over my mouth like this. And I said, "Is it possible you're covering your mouth to hide the fact that it's entirely covered in sticky blue stuff?" And he just went, just shook his head no back and forth. And like I wanted to reward him for his attempt. And then I had another. I did not, by the way. He only got the one. But he became so upset that the lady behind the Italian ice counter gave him a fucking free sample. Like took a spoon and gave him like, what are we doing here with these?
Man, everybody's just working against you. No one's on the same page on this.
Yeah. And then somebody else came up. He was wearing a Michael Jordan T-shirt, so I noticed it right away. And so I didn't know this kid, but I noticed the Michael Jordan T-shirt. And so he came back up later, and he said, "Can I get another ticket?" And I said, "No, man, sorry, you already had one." He's like, "No, I didn't." I said, "Yes, you did. I recognize this T-shirt. You're the only one wearing that T-shirt." And he looks down, and he's like, "Oh." And he walks away, and he comes back 5 minutes later, and the shirt is inside out. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Oh, man.
Like, I shit you not. There were like 50 kids trying to scam more Italian ices out of me. And is it just a total disregard for authority or the rules entirely? Like, is this a constant in all of human history?
Right.
Or is it something new? I don't know. But it and of course, immediately I begin to lose faith in humanity because not only are the kids being shitty, but the parents are all but encouraging this fucking behavior, and they're total unwillingness to say this is the fucking rule, rather than, oh, I'm not the bad guy, that's the bad guy, right? Like the parent, because in the parent's mind, they get off scot-free.
Right.
They don't have to be the one who upsets their child.
Right.
It's
Yes.
not
Yeah.
the parents saying you can't have 2 goddamn Italian ices. It's the guy in the blue shirt who
Right.
you should be mad at.
Perfectly natural, though.
Perfectly natural for them to behave
kids,
so poorly.
If you look at the adults, this is how it starts, trying to figure out a way to game the system, to better yourself.
Yeah, better yourself with more sugar water, right? I say, do everything you can to make yourself sicker and less healthy.
Yeah.
Speaking of children and my problems with them, there's this, and again, this I will anonymize this as much as possible. This is now a baseball conversation. I don't even know if I necessarily want to get into it because I don't know that there's a conversation to be had.
It could just be a storytelling
But
episode. We don't have to talk about any
I would just be
news.
complaining about the kid, basically.
Yeah, but I think the people like these episodes and less like the ones where you shout about the news.
Well, there's this situation that we have. I've got a kid on my in my minor league here, in my capacity as board member of the Little League, who is a very a rare talent. He's got a lot of raw baseball potential, let's just say. Legitimately so. Like he's one of the more rawly talented kids of his age group, and it's not particularly close. However, he has something of a behavioral issue in that whenever things don't go well, he sort of throws a fit. And in baseball, and by not going well, I mostly mean that like he fails in some way.
Just normal baseball.
Right. And one of the things that I say before every baseball season to all of these kids, and I reinforce it as often as I can, is that what I like about baseball, especially when it comes to little kids, is that baseball's really hard and you're going to fail over and over and over again. And that failure is a great way to both reveal, but then also subsequently build character, right? That is through all of this failure and this determination to get better, or at least to keep trying, that we become better ball players and also, oddly enough, better human beings. This has not been something that there's been no progression in that regard with this one particular child. Which is not to say that it's easy.
We all have different learning curves and paths.
Yeah, not to say that it's easy and not to say that it's automatic. And not to say that baseball always works in that regard, right? Like for some people who simply cannot tolerate that sort of failure. And perhaps that's a result of putting too much pressure on oneself, or maybe it's coming from external sources in some way. But whatever. This is a kid who's got a ways to go in terms of having the sort of emotional and perhaps psychological maturity to handle losing, and not losing in the big picture of like a team loss, but like losing at an at-bat or losing after making a mistake on the field in some way.
Right.
But we keep working, right? We just keep moving in the right direction, hopefully, and we figure something out. And I remain optimistic about his prospects as far as that goes, and perhaps naively so, but only time will tell. But also, it would be like a huge bummer to me personally to just like give up on the kid, right? To just be like, well, that's just who the fuck he is, and there's nothing that I can do about it. It's like, no, like my responsibility as a coach is to try to work with the kids that are difficult, not the ones who necessarily need just a couple of pointers on how to field a ground ball, right? There's a fellow board member who believes that this child's behavior should all but definitely preclude him from participation in our postseason, in the All-Star season that follows the regular season.
Has that ever happened before? Has any kid been...
Funny you should ask.
I mean,
kind of.
Officially, no, but like the way that it shakes out is that, yes, of course. Like attitude and behavior on the field, because the kids who are all-stars are just selected by an assortment of the various coaches in the league, basically. Like if you display or if you reveal yourself to be a problem, then why would some other coach who's coaching the All-Star team want you
Gotcha.
on that team? Like
Yeah.
his own coach, who has to deal with him every fucking day, can't even handle him.
Right.
Why
Well, and
would I
also,
want to deal with it?
You're playing. So during the regular season, you're playing the same teams over and over again. But in the All-Star tournament, you're playing kids you've never seen before, coaches you've never seen before, umpires you've never seen before. So if you have a shit kid,
Yeah.
it's like, we
Yeah.
can't take you to these people.
Right.
No. That's embarrassing.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, like as it shakes out, generally speaking, the ones who are going to be a potential problem won't make it unless there's a great deal of potential talent there, right? Like unless the coach thinks, look, this kid could actually win us a couple of ball games if we take him with us. And if we can only corral the problematic behavior, then, maybe we'll figure it out.
Right.
And this isn't a secret Shedeur Sanders conversation.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just pure coincidence.
Anyway, so this other person on the board thinks we need to not allow this kid to be on the All-Star team because he's a psychological terror to some of his potential teammates or whatever. They also said I would feel terrible because we post the names of the All-Stars on the snack stand, right? Like we post the rosters or whatever, kind of like you wouldn't. Like you see a high school movie from the 80s, right? And it's like, who made the wrestling team? And it lists all of the names or whatever. And like, do we want to reward that sort of behavior with the honor of being on the All-Star team? And it's like, well, honor of being on. Wait. It's just the kids
who doesn't have vacation.
Right. It's just the kids whose parents didn't schedule a trip to the Outer Banks for 2 weeks in the middle of June. Right. That's the great reward for not going to grandma's house for 2 weeks in June because your parents are already sick of you, is that you're on the All-Star team, right? Like it's not exactly a great honorific. To some extent, yes, we take the best kids that we can, but also we take the kids as the saying goes, the best ability is availability.
That's right.
And we're just trying to field a team here. But anyway, the point is that I don't exactly disagree with the assessment that if that's the behavior that we're going to expect, that we should avoid putting this kid on the team. Now, that being said, I had a conversation with said player and said player's parental unit and sort of made clear we've got to clean this. And this is the second time that we've had this sort of a conversation. But the first time that I said, this is going to have, like, the way that you comport yourself on the ball field doesn't just have an impact on me and on your teammates. You're revealing yourself to everybody who's watching, and that includes people who are going to make decisions about how much more baseball you get to play around here. Right? And I'm not threatening you. Right. I'm just telling you, if this continues, it's going to be really difficult for you to make an all-star team. And you have more raw talent than just about anybody else your age right now. And I'm not, that's not blowing smoke. Like, legitimately, you're really good at this and might eventually prove to be like really, really good at this, but not if this is the sort of thing that continues. And so, like, I doubt that will have any impact whatsoever. That conversation is basically me just laying the groundwork for why you didn't make the All-Star team, right? Yes. I'm hopeful that this solves or at least in some way begins to heal the problem. My guess is that no, it will not.
Is he, I know he's a kid, but is he aware that his outbursts are not how he should react and he still does it, or did he think like, "Hey, this is just who I am," and like?
No, he knows. I mean, he's
got issues.
He's got He's got some stuff to work out, right? And I don't want to play armchair psychologist or psychiatrist here, but yeah, he's got stuff. He's got stuff to work through. Like he's a good kid. Fun. I mean, not to say that they aren't all good kids, but like he's just a little bit of a mess. He's got stuff going on, and eventually the hope is that it gets sorted out.
all of these outbursts are like self-contained. This is not like impacting another player or another.
Well, that's the other
They
thing
are.
is they do, and like that's the other
He
thing.
just kind of can't control himself physically.
Right. If he's not controlling himself physically, then he becomes a danger to other kids. So if he
He's
throws,
not like outwardly violent towards other kids.
But if you're
he
violent-
can't he's very strong
Okay.
and can't control himself physically.
if you're violent towards your helmet in the way that
Yeah.
you slam it onto the ground,
Yeah.
then it might bounce and hurt someone. If you are incapable of swinging a bat because you're so committed to hitting this ball a million miles an hour in the other direction that you whip the bat out of your hands and it goes helicoptering
Yeah.
15 feet away into somebody's belly,
Yeah.
which happened the other night, then
Really? Wow.
right, like then you do present an actual physical danger to other people because you're not controlling yourself. But whatever, that sort of thing can be cleaned up. It's the entirely negative reaction to a moment of failure that results in a psychological blow up that is probably more problematic. Anyway, I bring all of this up not to harp on this one kid's behavioral issues, but because my reaction to the other board member and the way that they were sort of insisting that something ought to be done to protect the psychological and physical safety of the other players in the league, and not just their potential future all-star teammates, but because of what it would say about who we are as a league to elevate and reward this sort of behavior onto an all-star team. And it's like I could feel
Makes me so mad.
I could feel the creeping fingers of the totalitarian state, like that animate this person's worldview.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that I have that sort of natural aversion to like that thing that I'm reacting to.
Yeah.
But like you could feel that it's like the feeling was one of tentacles.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and it's that very well-meaning, like very progressively informed, right? Trying to do the right thing by the collective.
Yeah.
And in so doing, casting out,
Right.
like the casting out of the problem. And it felt exactly like the thing that drives people, like the thing that is, because they talk about one's conservative or progressive nature as almost genetically coded into you. Like there's been research. I don't know to what degree it's replicable or to what degree it checks out upon further investigation. But like you've certainly read about studies that say that you're sort of hardwired by your genetics to react to certain scenarios that are then categorized as a progressive reaction or a conservative reaction, right? And like that this is sort of inborn. The way that this person was talking was giving me that sort of inborn sort of genetic reaction to it in terms of like fucking get off of me, right? Like get this totalitarian mindset away. I must run.
We haven't talked to Abe since the concession stand got almost broken into.
Yeah.
What? Crime.
It didn't quite get broken into. They failed, but the lock was broken,
Wow.
and people reacted to that in various ways.
If the lock
like
was
Bob is
broken-
saying, ways that are indicative of who they are.
Right.
And like I was like,
Right,
"Ah."
so Maha mom who doesn't want her kid drinking Red 40 Gatorade, but is fine with the other Gatorades.
She's not fine with the other Gators.
She's not fine with it, but she's more tolerant of the other Gatorades, certainly.
Yeah.
She was like fucking Republican supermom afterwards.
She was like, file a police report. Send me a photo of the damaged door. And I took a picture of the door, and I was like, this is the best I can do. The door remains a door. The lock just doesn't do its job. Like, all I can do is show you a picture of the door, which doesn't look broken because it's not, and everything is fine.
By the way,
another. Right, we have to finish the different reactions.
Yeah.
So we've got like your classic. I mean, I know Karen is derogatory, but it's like a classic Republican mom, like this is unacceptable. We're just a little league. What are these animals doing out here?
Yeah.
Trying to steal from the little league. How dare they? Fine. Like a Law and Order type reaction was one reaction.
Right.
Another reaction was I got a semi-lengthy text from the board member with the creeping authoritarian thing, talking about how because of the Trump administration's
So that's what I was going to say.
elimination of social services.
I can read it right now.
The defunding of various programs.
So the text says,
Which I hope she's listening and takes it in good humor because it's how it's meant, and she's not wrong. Like none of these reactions are wrong.
None of them are wrong. They're all right. I don't want to put this out.
Revelatory.
I don't want to put this out on Discord since it could easily devolve and activate people and also become a political issue. But I think we should prepare for more vandalism in the coming months. The federal funding that I manage, blah, 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 that helps people with mental health stuff got pulled this week. We anticipate more funding cuts, which means there won't be a safety net for people. And guess what happens when you take people's services away? To which I responded, tale as old as time. You take services away, Little League ballparks get dick drawings. Because that also happened.
Right, because I showed up for practice after like some Sunday afternoon and some kid had jumped the fence and drew big dicks on the infield with their shoe. Which is obviously a result of the Trump administration pulling social services funding. Anyway, everybody reacts to the world as almost as though they are pre-programmed in certain ways.
I got a text at the end of the night saying, "You've been through enough tonight." It's like I went through a very lovely evening at the ballpark. Nothing else happened. The other way that people react is the "we are handy rednecks" way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we are going to fashion a lock out of grass and twigs and hammers.
I should start by saying, here is what I suspect happened, because on
Wednesday,
a couple of nights before.
It was Wednesday.
On a Wednesday night, as we were closing up shop there, this slightly weirdo, slightly frumpy, rumpled-looking guy. And again, as I've said before,
it's a public park.
It's a public park, and it's a couple of ball fields and
a hiking trail
along a creek, basically, and it goes back into the woods off the highway. And the woods off of the highway with a public park with a public bathroom facility means homeless people.
Also,
like this, no matter the size of your city, if the weather is kind of turning a little bit, it's nice now, and there's a public bathroom that has an auto lock that doesn't go on until 10 o'clock at night, right? So it's an open bathroom all day long. Until recently, there was a porta potty there even, so you could just use the facilities there 24/7, basically. You're going to attract a certain sleeping rough sort of clientele, right? Like it's just the situation. And so as we're closing up shop after baseball one Wednesday evening, this guy kind of comes out and he sort of looks like he just walked out of the fucking woods, right? And he's
because also you have the baseball people, and then you also have like hippie types. You have homeless people, obviously, but you also have people who are hiking, and they're like, sports.
Right.
Interesting. People do sports with children. Huh.
Yeah, but you also have, and then you just have like dog walkers and people just out enjoying the night. But it's fine. But then it makes this guy stand out, relatively speaking, right? And he also seems slightly out of it. Like he seems like he's on drugs, to be perfectly frank. And he walks up and he asks, "So how late are you guys open?" Like, how late are we open?
This Little League.
It's just a Little League snack stand. We're closing up now, and we, until 8 o'clock, I guess. Some nights, like we're just here when there's baseball happening, and when there's not. He's like, "Oh yeah, so like, how often is that?" I was like, "Just about every weeknight, and sometimes Saturdays also. Like we're here a lot, But anytime there's baseball happening, we try to be open to sell hot dogs and Gatorades and whatnot." He's like, "Oh, okay. And water's $1?" It's like, "Yeah, water's $1." He says, "All right. And so, like, what time do you open?" I don't know, man, 5 o'clock, something like that. Usually we're 5 to 8. All right. And he just turns and walks away. So that's Wednesday. And I got, like, my vibe from him was, oh, he's going to try to break into the concession stand.
So it wasn't like I'm just making conversation and...
I mean, he wanted to appear to be making conversation.
But that is those are the worst questions to ask if you're, like, trying to case a joint. Like, asking...
Right, he's literally casing the joint.
But what if you're really high? So,
yeah, I
like,
guess that's true.
And
you don't know how to act.
You think you're way
anymore.
smarter than the person that you're talking to, but instead you're way dumber because of the drugs.
Yes.
Like you think you're getting away with something, essentially. And it's like, no, you're not getting away with something. So anyway, I had a weird feeling in my stomach after talking with this person, which was like very clearly a person trying to gain information for seemingly perhaps illicit purposes. And like it's just like a brick building with some steel shutter doors and then one
cement.
Right, cement and brick and like and those steel roll up doors that you sometimes see places, right?
Be a good place to go if you have to in a tornado.
Okay.
The inside, it's good.
And then just like one door with a kind of bum ass lock on it. And so, yeah, I assumed that he was casing the joint, and I was nervous about showing up when I came a couple of days later to open the snack stand for the first time in 48 hours as to what I was going to find. And lo and behold, I go to stick my key in the door, and it's been fucked with in some way. There's some foreign object has been jammed in there in an attempt to, like, with sticks and plastic or something, try to take the shape of a key and then be able to turn the tumbler enough to get in there.
So it's not easy to pick a lock, and I imagine if you're really fucked up on drugs, it's even harder.
Right.
And like I had previously also noticed that, like, you can tell where the steel shutters come down. It will give you like a half an inch if you try to like fuck with it. And so like I had noticed before that, like, I think that the steel shutters have been fucked with. Like they're trying, like, it's not unusual. They're going to try to get in there because they know that there's food and drink and potentially maybe some petty cash lying around. Anyway, I can't get the fucking thing open, so I recognize that something bad has happened, and it turns into this whole thing that we've just been discussing for the last 30 minutes.
Did you? Hey, I have a suspect. It's that guy who asked me all those questions.
Pretty much, but so what?
Who am I gonna like? So what do you say? There's this mid-20s homeless-looking Indian fella.
That's a lot of information.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
We don't have cameras. If we did, it would show that, and then it would show him going away, and then you wouldn't know anything more.
By the way, nothing was taken, so
Nothing.
through.
He didn't get in.
They didn't get in it, but it did effectively disable the lock beyond repair.
Okay.
And so we had to sort of break in to our own snack stand in order to get everything going. But yeah, and then like Lori was saying, so I go up to this very useful couple, and
They're the fucking
I don't
best.
mean that in a I'm going to simply make use of them and I don't appreciate their humanity. I do appreciate their humanity, but also like when you need something done, like sometimes there are just people in the world like, oh, you need something done?
Yeah,
those are the people.
You hope that when the zombie apocalypse happens, or really any kind of apocalypse, that you're near them.
Okay.
They sort of remind me of. You ever see the movie Tremors? Kevin Bacon movie from the 80s?
Yeah.
The couple with all of the guns?
Yes.
They're sort of like, I don't know how many guns they own. I assume at least a couple.
So many, I'm sure.
But
they have to murder animals. They have a farm.
Right. They have a farm. Like they're just those people who know how to get shit done, and it's not necessarily only dirty work. Right. Like if there's dirty work to be done, yes, definitely, but also just like anything that needs to be done. Like for example, I needed somebody to hang out in my dugout because I was down a coach, so it was just me and one other guy, and I have to be coaching, and the other guy has to be on the first base side coaching, and so like. Now we've got 8 kids in the dugout with no supervision. It's like, we can't have this. They're fucking idiots and animals, and they need some amount of supervision. So I just go to this lady. I'm like, hey, I need a dugout mom. You're really good at stuff. Can you dugout mom for me?
Good at everything.
Fucking my normally utterly chaotic dugout, in which last week, under the supervision of my assistant coach, they tried to bury a kid in the stone dust that we use as the floor, right? It's sort of the consistency of kitty litter is what the bottom of
It's very much just kitty litter.
the dugout is. Like they literally, a kid, like the way you bury somebody at the beach, like you lay down and like your buddies cover you in sand. Like they did that, but with the dugout dirt, while an assistant coach was in there, not fucking giving a shit apparently. Anyway, we go in from that sort of chaos to like, a well-run kindergarten classroom.
Or do you need like a few $1,000s raised? Right. Just ask this lady.
Right. Anyway, very useful. So I went up to her on the evening of the broken lock saga, and I was like, this is a weird question, but you're the sort of person who just has stuff sometimes. So do you happen to have like a very long, thin metal file that might be used for the picking of a lock, for example?
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she does the looking up and accessing memory look that people do, right?
Yeah.
She says, I think I do, on my truck. And she goes around, she goes to the side of her truck, and she pulls out a long metal file that could conceivably be used to pick a lock. I was like, what are you doing? And as it turns out, it was too thick to do the job. Like, it wasn't quite right.
But don't worry. She walked up to the concession stand. I didn't know any of this had happened. We'd gotten in. The night was going fine. She comes up, just like always. I was like, hey. She's like, hey. I said, how you doing? She goes, where's the lock? It's like, oh, it's the one back there.
A couple hours later, at the conclusion of the game, I go back into the back of the concession stand just to kind of, take the temperature of everything, see what's going on while I was gone coaching a baseball game.
Temperature was high.
And they've got like, those ratchet straps that people have, like they're like 3 inches thick and they're made of like heavy duty cloth and they have those big heavy duty metal.
Like for semis.
Ka-chunk, right. To like hold shit down on the back. Like you have 5,000 pounds of bags of concrete or something and you use that to wrap around the back of the semi to hold everything in place. Right. They've got like 3 of those. And they're trying to tie them to the door so that they can then ratchet the door to a fixed structure inside so that we can lock the place up when we leave.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you monsters doing? It's like, no, it's going to be fine. Like, I appreciate the effort, but like, this is crazy. We're going to figure out a different solution, I think. I hope.
Did y'all, or was that the solution?
Yeah, we figured it out. Okay. We figured out that we could lock it and then sneak out the other way, and it was going to be fine to lock it from the outside. And then eventually we got a new lock put on it the next morning, so that was all good. It's quite a lot of drama down there at the ballpark here lately.
It's never not drama. There's always something.
So you guys are not going to pursue this person unless he comes again and asks some questions?
No, that's for the one person who said you'd been through enough tonight.
Yeah.
She can take over that investigation.
We this being though the second time that the police have been made aware of a strange incident happening down at Quarry Park, they've increased their patrols. And I saw them. I was there for practice for like 6 hours on Saturday, and we saw them like 4 times or something. So they're making more frequent stops and just keeping an eye on things.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
sure.
We're fine. It's fine.
There's Nextdoor where a lot of busybodies congregate and report on suspicious people. Isn't there also Citizens or something, Citizen app? There's something similar. I wonder if one of those people are going to be on those apps to like, oh my God, there was a breaking at the
I'm sure, game. Yeah. And also, like, it is kind of fucking funny though. Like, if they had gotten in, they would have found like a few dozen hot dogs in the fridge, a few pounds of
chips,
old barbecue. Yeah, like
bubble gum,
a couple of 100 sodas and Gatorades, and then like some cold nacho cheese, and I think like $80 or something if they had managed to break into the cash drawer also.
Right. Maybe.
But like
not much.
The risk.
But if you're a homeless drug person, $80 is a lot.
$80 and a lot of Doritos in 1 ounce bags. Like it's not like
it's not convenient.
It's not the mother load. You've got to eat so many bags of these Doritos to satisfy yourself. It's just the payoff and it would have been such a bummer to go in there and see like everything fucking destroyed because some fucking homeless drug-addled idiot got in there and started kicking shit around. So at least they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's...
It's 9:45.
Yeah, Lori tricked me into fucking talking more about baseball stuff.
Good stuff.
On the 100 days, real quick, I wanted to make a point of mentioning a couple of stories, even if we can't talk about them in depth.
You did say as quickly as possible.
In part because it's fucking New York. God damn it, I did it again.
He did it again.
It's just, yeah, he did it again.
You did it again.
I did it
What
again.
did you? I wasn't there when you did that the first time.
You did it
So
three times.
There's an error on the New York Times website, and I was trying to refresh it so that I could actually see this article that I want to read. And I keep hitting F5 when my cursor is over the Google Meet rather than when my cursor is over the New York Times website. Anyway, it looks like that's been cleaned up. Good job, New York Times cyber team or whatever. Like I said, I wanted to mention a few stories that I think we've somehow failed to mention at all in the first 100 days of the Trump administration, despite the fact that they are like big-time stories that we probably should have been somewhat upset about. The first of which that I wanted to talk about briefly is the executive order that Trump signed that targeted the individual human known as Christopher Krebs, who was a cybersecurity expert.
I remember him.
And then became a CBS News contributor. I think he still might be probably on there.
He's the one that said like this is the most secure election, the one that Trump lost. Is that why he's doing this?
Right. So he got shit canned because he was in charge of election integrity as established by, I believe, the Trump administration is who put him in charge of that. And then in the aftermath of the 2020 election, he refused to go along with the Trump line about how the election was stolen and instead insisted that it was in fact secure and that there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud or other malfeasance. And because he did that, he was targeted with an executive order, which was, to me, quite extraordinary because it was an executive order that basically just said, hey, Justice Department, go after this asshole because he lied about the 2020 election.
Right.
And use the investigative and police power of the United States federal government to go after someone that I consider to be an enemy. He says that he was an enemy of the United States in some way. But of course, what he really means is he was just a personal enemy to the political fortunes of Donald Trump.
Right. And this is not the only instance where this has happened. I mean, with law firms that represented the other side in various cases, like he's gone after those law firms. Like this petty tour is not limited just to this one instance.
Right. That was the second thing that I wanted to mention was all of the executive orders that targeted various law firms that, by the way, do these sorts of big lawsuits. Sometimes we're talking about lawsuits that are paid for, right? They have billable hours and they make lots of money from them. But also, a lot of times, the law firms that were targeted by the Trump administration were doing pro bono work for various causes that the Trump administration believes they should not have been doing pro bono work for. So that could be something as simple as taking on cases that the Trump administration believes they are philosophically opposed to, or it could be, for example, working with Jack Smith, the former federal prosecutor, who Trump has also targeted in various ways.
And regarding these law firms, isn't it also true that some of those law firms have lawyers that have security clearances in order for them to do the work needed, and they're getting involved with revoking clearances to prevent them from doing the work that's needed?
Right. So targeting specific law firms who have business before federal courts and who need those security clearances to be able to do their work, and saying, because of what you've done, you will have those security clearances revoked unless you capitulate in these various ways, including just giving money to Donald Trump, or just giving legal services to causes that he has deemed necessary for them to continue to secure their security clearances, right? So, this is from I'm going to read from this interview that Trump did. He did a few. He hasn't done a ton. Oddly enough, you can't say that it's like the Joe Biden situation, who never talked to the fucking press, because Trump talks to the press all the goddamn time, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't do the big traditional interviews that previous presidents usually would have done. And so the 2 or 3, I think, he did one with The Atlantic, he did one with Time, and I think there was one other one.
He did a sit-down with ABC, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was ABC. So Time Magazine, The Atlantic, and ABC News got big 100-day Trump interviews.
Right.
And this is from the Time Magazine one. You recently signed memos calling for an investigation of Chris Krebs. And by the way, memos is a weird way of saying executive order.
Right.
But yeah, executive orders calling for investigation of Chris Krebs, a top cybersecurity official in your first term. Isn't that what you accused Joe Biden of doing? And of course, that's a reference to the lawfare aspect of what was being used against Donald Trump. Crucially, and I know that this is the immediate turnaround to any accusations that Trump is doing lawfare against his political enemies is, well, what would you expect him to do after the lawfare that was done against him? And I have some sympathy for that when it comes particularly to the Letitia James stuff in New York City, which I think was a largely bogus attempt to gum up the works, right? And to get and the other one also, the Stormy Daniels prosecution by the Manhattan DA, whose name escapes me at the moment. What's his fucking name?
That Italian guy?
No, not Italian. Abe's going to come up with it. You watch.
I mean, the Italian guy was her lawyer, Avenatti. But the
that's the lawyer.
Alvin Bragg was the name of the prosecuting attorney in that case. And I was right, the Manhattan District Attorney. Yeah. All right. So I have some sympathy for the complaints about lawfare as regards the Stormy Daniels stuff. Like 34 felony counts was largely drummed up out of the one crime of using campaign money to pay off a porn star for having slept with her, and in what was essentially a catch and kill operation, right? As far as a story goes, overblown, right? And probably not a great use of the people's resources if we're talking about it in that sense. But like the Jack Smith stuff, the obstruction of justice stuff, where he flat out refused to hand over classified material, and then because usually when you get caught with classified material when you're a former president, it's you got me. Sorry, I took that banker's box full of shit and I shouldn't have, and here you have it. It's fine, whatever. Trump didn't do that. Instead, he tried to hide the fact that he'd done all of that stuff for reasons that aren't entirely clear. And I don't mean that in a nefarious way. I just mean that in in the same way that the rednecks at the Little League think that keeping secrets gives them power. I think Trump is no, I've got this box of secrets and it gives me power and I can use it in some way, maybe in the future. And it's not clear what. But who knows? Maybe he did think he could make money on it by giving it to some Saudi Arabians or something. Anyway, I do think that the accusations of lawfare against Trump have some meat on the bone there, and some of them shouldn't have been pursued. But also, crucially, he broke the fucking law, right? And so for him to turn around and say, hey, I'm just doing this because of, he wouldn't say it this way, but his defenders would say, he's just doing this and it's perfectly justified because of the way he was treated. And what else do you expect? It's well, but Chris Krebs didn't break the fucking law in the way that Donald Trump did.
Right.
So it's not exactly apples and apples here. All right. Trump response to what's with you lawfaring against Chris Krebs. I think Krebs was a disgrace to our country. I think he was. I think he was terrible. By the way, I don't know him. I don't think I ever met him. I probably saw him around. I have people come in like the other one. He came in and he's on CNN all the time as an expert on Trump. I have no idea who he is. And Chris Krebs is the same thing. I guess he probably said he knows me, but I have no idea. What the fuck are you talking about, man? What is it? Whether he knows you or not, this is not the question. You are non-responsive to the question here.
Right.
Anyway, he gets to the end there. I know very little about Chris Krebs, but I think he was very deficient. Why are you writing executive orders insisting that the Justice Department investigate him?
This is a strategy of his, right? Like he'll just go on a diatribe, just whatever he's thinking at the moment, to the point where you're like, not only did you not answer the question, like I don't even want to like follow up because you're just going to give me more of the same. Like it's a very
right. And the interviewer moves on basically and says, "You've used threats and lawsuits, other forms of coercion." Trump says, "Well, I've got to be doing something right because I've had a lot of law firms give me a lot of money." Question: Why is that an appropriate use of presidential power? Response: Well, I think it is because I think they felt that the election was rigged and stolen and they didn't want to be a part of it. You think they gave me $100 million each for nothing? You know these law firms gave me $100 million worth of work, etc., and other things. And do you think they gave me that because I'm a nice guy? I don't think so. They gave it to me because they knew what they did wrong and they didn't want to get involved with it. And that's okay. That's the way it works, unfortunately. So what he's asserting in his response here is that he did the executive orders against the law firms because they helped with election fraud and malfeasance, right? And they knew that they were guilty of election fraud, and then so they turned around and gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, either in cash or in billable hours, basically, right? And he thinks that A, that only reinforces the fact that the election was actually stolen, and B, and proves their guilt, right? And doesn't think that that's an abuse of presidential power at all. To me, it is on a par with the third thing that I wanted to talk about from the first 100 days, which is the Trump meme coin, which we somehow have not mentioned either on the show, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But it is just such blatant and utterly unacceptable corruption, like in a way that blows away anything that happened in the first Trump administration, that despite the fact that he owned a hotel down the street from the White House that he told people to stay in, and foreign governments did him that favor of just showing up to Washington and booking weeks at a time to stay in the Trump hotel as a form of patronage, basically, right? As a way of currying favor with the administration. And it's the same thing that he does with fucking Mar-a-Lago. You can pay to join Mar-a-Lago, and now you can be having dinner with Donald Trump if you're a paying dues member down at Mar-a-Lago. They ran some fucking contest with the Trump meme coin over the course of the last couple of weeks, where some website announced the top 220 owners of the Trump meme coin would get to have dinner with Donald Trump. And it's like, crypto is already this utterly impenetrable thing where you really have it's billed as this, well, it's on the blockchain, so everybody's going to know everything that's going on. But really, it's just a fucking tool of criminals to hide all of their fucking money and the things that they're doing with their money. And so now the president of the United States, as president, is selling this fucking meme coin for access. And it's like, what is an emolument if not using an executive order to force law firms that if they want to continue doing business in the way that they've done business before, which is just it's not that they've done bad business, they've just done business, right? He's not solving some fucking crime that's been happening. He's just saying, if it's a nice law firm there, it'd be a shame if anything fucking happened to it. So you better give me and all of my pet causes hundreds of millions of dollars in favors if you want to hang on to that fucking law firm of yours. And it's how is that not a staggering abuse of presidential power worthy of impeachment? And where the fuck are the Democrats on that? And I know you don't want to seem like you're just fucking hysterical right out of the gate, but they're going full bore on the plain as day corruption. And you'd think that, especially with the meme coin stuff, where it's just, I'm using my position as president of the United States to bilk money, to say nothing of the fact that it is so highly corruptible in terms of allowing foreign actors or other unsavory individuals to buy access to the president, but also it's just going right back to the MAGA faithful, right back to the rabble, and saying, give me more of your money so that I can enrich myself on your backs. It's just pure naked corruption.
Right. And, Trump has done this very effective thing where he is now basically politically bulletproof because he had kind of cultivated this environment where any attack on Trump, no matter how obvious and true that attack is, it's going to be perceived as an attack on Trump for political reasons only, right? So basically everything is dismissed out of hand. So even if you had a bunch of people on the Democratic side crying foul about this meme coin thing, people will just dismiss it. People that are fans of Trump dismiss it out of hand. They're not going to look into it. They're like, this is more of the same. You did this with Russia. You did this with this other thing. You did this with that, the hush money. You've done this so many times. It's the boy who cried wolf. I don't care. Basically, people have tuned out any sort of claim. And now he can violate norms in the extreme, and it makes no difference. Like, he literally could do anything right now. There's literally nothing he can't do other than just like, you fucking fools. I've been, like, unless he
It's hard to think of something that would be, I mean, I know you shouldn't ever imagine that it can't be worse, but like selling a fucking cryptocurrency as the president of the United States just to enrich like he might actually be a billionaire now is what I like for all of the talk about how he was a fake billionaire for years, like until they came up with this fucking cryptocurrency scam, all of a sudden now he probably is an actual billionaire now.
Sure,
this will have been the greatest success of his life in terms of monetary payoff.
Right. During the hike with my friend, he's thinking that something bad is going to happen with Trump, like he's going to try to stay beyond 28, and he was talking up this hat Trump is parading around, the Trump 2028, and I'm like, we're a nation of laws, don't worry, he's constitutionally limited, it's not doable. And I was like, the one worst case scenario I can imagine is, like Trump briefly made mention of like, hey, this guy Zelensky, he's a dictator because there's no elections, even though there's like a war, and that's why they had to suspend the elections. That is, I'm like, sometimes Trump will say something blaming somebody for doing a thing, and then he'll do it. So I was like, I hope he's not paving the groundwork for some sort of war with Venezuela in in 2028 and say, we got to see this through, you guys, and suspend some. That's like the worst case scenario I can see. And I think at that point, people I would imagine, would abandon him because that doesn't change the Constitution.
I mean, if he didn't do it in the pandemic, like it's hard to imagine that he'd be, because like that would have, like you could imagine a power grab of that sort where like, look, we've got a global pandemic happening. Can we really afford to have an election right now? Is this really the time for such a thing?
Right. I will stress though, Trump 1.0 versus Trump 2.0, these are two different things. I mean, this is Trump 2.0 is after after January 6th, after the criminal cases, after that mugshot, after all of those things happen, right? So like this is like he's on this vengeance kind of thing. Like a lot of the stuff that he's done in the last 100 days, he did not do the first 4 years, the first 1,400 days. So like this is not the same guy as 5 years ago.
And it's kind of amazing to me because we talk about, there's so much talk through the first term about what, like not letting this become normal, right? Like the normalization conversation that was had over and over again for fucking forever. It was super lame.
Yeah.
But like the way that the stolen election of 2020 thing has become just an article of absolute fact among such a large percent, like, and it's anyone who's permitted to be in Trump's orbit, right? That is a bottom line fact, right? It's all but. I think it was, in fact, in order to get a job, probably one of those questions that you had to answer correctly, right, in order to prove your loyalty to the cause.
And you don't even have to believe it; you just have to say it. Like I mean, just tonight he's out there celebrating this 100 days and in front of everybody saying this is like the most successful 100 days ever, and then obviously it's a political rally, so the crowd going wild, but basically it's like, these are the things that you believe if you want to be part of this movement, and you have to say that you believe it.
Right. And it's super fucking, it's like, if that is, you have that amount of cognitive dissonance about the world that you firmly believe or you are willing to say at every turn that the 2020 election was stolen and Joe Biden was an illegitimate president for 4 years, and like what does that mean about what these people will say in furtherance of that fact, right? Like how much weirder can it get if this is the sort of stuff that they believe about the world now? And who knows? Briefly on the Canadian elections that just happened, there's a lot of talk about how the results of the election in Canada can be attributed to Donald Trump in some form or fashion. And I think that is, based on all of the available evidence, probably fair to say. When Justin Trudeau essentially stepped down and called for, I don't know precisely how it works, but he, I believe, essentially stepped down and allowed for new elections to happen, right? And it looked like the Conservatives were on the rise, that the Conservatives were going to fairly handily throw out Trudeau's party and take over control of the Canadian government. And then Donald Trump couldn't stop talking about how he's going to make Canada the 51st state, and kept talking about how Canada shouldn't exist in the same way that, Vladimir Putin has talked about how Ukraine doesn't really exist. And like, maybe now wasn't the best time for those sorts of jokes, Donald, at the same time that he's talking about using or not ruling out the use of military force to take the Panama Canal or to take Greenland, a super weird expansionist talking rhetoric. And then also talking about how Canada shouldn't be governing itself and it would be better off as the 51st state, which caused in the Canadian population something of some upset and a turn towards Canadian nationalism that allowed the Liberals, the Progressive Party up there, to take on the mantle of Canadian independence, since, of course, the Conservatives would have had a little bit more trouble distancing themselves from the also conservative-coded Donald Trump, and therefore the Liberals end up staying in power, although I believe without a full majority.
They don't have a full. I think they're a couple of seats short of it, but they can just do a coalition thing.
Right, and they'll have the Liberal Prime Minister, once again, I forget the guy's name.
Mark Carney?
No, I am duty-bound as an American to not know his name for at least the next couple of years.
Justin Trudeau still.
As he is not the handsome son of a former Canadian
I haven't
important
known
person.
a British Prime Minister's name since Tony Blair.
Yeah.
I will not know a Canadian Prime Minister's name after Justin Trudeau.
There you go.
That's just the name of the Canadian. It's Justin Trudeau. That's it.
It's interesting. The Canadians changing people at the top, like months before the election, worked for them, where it did not work south of the border here in the States. And also, like, it's weird. Anytime you watch coverage of the election up there, like I was watching some YouTube stuff for like CBC, their news channel over there, and like the map is like, it's like bizarre world. It's like the Liberals are red and the Conservatives are blue.
Yeah, that threw me.
And apparently we're the outlier, which is a recurring thing. Like most other places, like left of center.
Oh, it's like the metric versus the imperial system.
It's weird. Yeah, it's like left of center most places. The left of center party most places is red, and the right of center is blue. And so it's like,
sounds like everywhere else is doing it wrong.
yeah, somebody's doing it wrong.
Didn't we invent red and blue? Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I don't think we did.
Yes.
Anyway,
As American as red, white, and blue. They don't say as British as red, white, and blue. Their flag is the same colors,
no,
but
you
red,
would
white, and
say
blue is us.
as French as red, white, and blue, probably.
So is the British flag. They're all the same colors, but we took that as a concept.
Teach it.
Anyway, I bring up the Canada thing not because I care about Canadian politics, but because it's interesting that, like, to Donald Trump, because, like, you could think of this, an argument could be made that this is a failure of Donald Trump's comportment in the world, right? Like, because there are people who believe in, like, movement conservatism who would think, well, it's good if Canada has a conservative government in the same way that like they identify for whatever reason with like fucking Hungary,
Right.
or in some weird way the way that they identify with fucking Putin, right? It's like this is a conservative coded thing, and for the movement, especially this weird nationalistic MAGA marriage that's gone on here, that sort of nationalistic conservatism,
Which is transnational, because basically it's kind of exported to other places. This movement,
right? Well, but it's, again, it immediately becomes incoherent, right? Because like you cannot have that,
Right.
Like the nationalism of Hungary doesn't translate to anything good for the nationalism of America, right? The point is that there's a sort of MAGA national conservatism or movement conservatism that would appreciate Canada becoming conservative, right? Like imagine Don Jr. the day after the election posting on Twitter like a great day for MAGA because the conservatives in Canada won, right? And it's because they really want part of this whole Trump thing, right?
Right.
To Trump, it's not a defeat of Trumpism in any way, and in fact, if anything, it's a reinforcement of like a good thing for Donald Trump, which is he doesn't fucking care that the Canadian Prime Minister is a liberal or the same party as Justin Trudeau was, even though in theory it would be easier for him to work with a Canadian partner government that was conservative. All he cares about is the fact that Donald Trump is the reason that something happened somewhere else, right? Like literally all he cares about is that they were talking about Trump during the Canadian national elections, and like the thing that the whole thing hinged upon was actually Donald Trump. And therefore, even though it's a rejection of Trumpism by the Canadian people, it's a massive victory for Donald Trump because his name was in the news and on everybody's fucking lips at every moment for the last 3 months.
Right. He was the center of attention. It doesn't matter what that attention is.
Right. Literally. He doesn't care whether the attention is good or bad. Any news is good news, right? As long as he continues to be at the center of attention, that's all that matters to him. Fucking 10 years into this, it's like, how have we chosen this guy as the thing upon which we're going to center all of our attention? And it is deranged, and it goes back to the deranging thing. It is deranging of all things in ways that I don't think we fully appreciate. And I know, like, it sounds crazy because 1.2 or 3 million Americans died of the coronavirus pandemic, but we want to flush pandemics from our collective memory. Apparently, that's just a thing that people like to do. It's like, no, it happened. It was this awful trauma, and we don't ever want to think about it again, right? So apparently, this is just what cultures do. They try to forget pandemics. And because of that instinct, like, I would have said after the first trumpeting that we've got 9/11, we've got the trumpeting, but that would ultimately be succeeded in terms of the moment in cultural history by the pandemic, right? Like
you even said on this podcast that the pandemic was bigger than 9/11 in terms of like cultural significance, and I disagreed with you then.
I mean, I think as a world historical event, if we're lucky, the pandemic will prove to have been more important than 9/11. If 9/11 proves to have been more important, it will be because things continue to get worse in terms of our global response to terrorism, right? But I like to imagine that with the...
You should go back and listen to that episode
with
again.
the closing of the Afghanistan war, that chapter is largely... been closed. But, the ways in which we have been changed as a culture by 9/11 probably cannot be overstated.
Right. I mean, we had the two forever, well, they weren't forever wars.
You said the pandemic was going to be a bigger thing.
And then TSA still around.
I'd be curious to know when during the pandemic I said that. But
I don't know. We were recording down here.
Yeah. Whatever. They're two enormous things. The point that I'm trying to make now, you know what, Lori? I'd like to drive this point home. This is a fucking podcast. There's no black and white. It's just fucking conversation.
I'm not saying there's a black and white. I'm saying you're agreeing now with me months and years ago.
Yeah.
You're saying that
You expect me to be held to the things I fucking say to this microphone?
I don't expect you to be held. I'm just telling you, I remember a conversation we had one time.
Yeah, well, your memory is fucking more suspect than we thought. Anyway.
When I'm wasted, I tend to not remember as much.
Oh, stop being wasted when we record podcasts.
I wasn't.
Fucking lush over here. The point that I'm getting at here is like this second trumpeting, it's like we decided, well, we could have flushed this from our system with just one 4-year situation. But the way that time is expanding, the way that this 100 days feels like it's just been jam-packed with so many things that it can't possibly have only been 3 months and 10 days, right? Like it's hard to imagine the way that we can just flush the second trumpeting in the way that it felt like it might be possible to flush the first one.
Right. I don't see it possible. Also, I don't know if this is just a prisoner of the moment, but this is like the weakest class of politicians.
Are we trying to talk about the draft again? Because I love this.
Yeah, like in NFL draft lingo, like this is a very weak class of politicians to where Trump can overwhelm them. Like if there was one or two like charismatic conservatives, like after January 6th, somebody could have taken the mantle. Like, but you had like DeSantis and like other people that were just not very good to kind of pivot. There was this moment of pivot, and there was nobody there, and there was a vacuum that Trump filled again, and basically he regrouped, and then he was able to run again in 24 and win. But like if there was
the closest you maybe could have gotten was the New Hampshire guy, legacy, fucking nepo baby,
Sununu.
Yeah, Sununu had that sort of happy warrior energy about him. But was just so cowardly in the face of having to say anything bad about Trump because of the pathology of the modern conservative in terms of never giving the media a win. Right. Like, and it's not like part of it is like fucking in him, like he couldn't possibly give the media a win. But he also recognized that by being overly critical of Donald Trump, it would be perceived as him giving the media a win, and whether that was his instinct to not give the media a win or the reality of 85% of Republicans to despise anyone who gives the media a win, he could not therefore give the media a win. Like Sununu was maybe the guy, but I don't think that there was an environment suitable for him to figure that out. DeSantis has none of the charisma to do it.
Right. Like
I don't know. I don't even know who. Like Nikki Haley. Like, sorry, just the wrong moment, and not particularly adept at it either. And yeah, I don't even know where you go from there in terms of a conservative who could have come up and done the job. None of the senators are worth a shit. Marco Rubio is a fucking quisling coward. Fucking the worst. Just the worst. And beyond that, I don't even know where you would start the conversation.
And we still don't have any like strong contenders. Like this is like, it's a very very bad decade of characters.
Yeah. And it's sort of terrifying that this fucking J.D. Vance, who 10 years ago was like a blogger, like literally writing blogs, is now the vice president and is, aside from being a breath away from the presidency, like very clearly seems to be, for now anyway, the heir apparent and certainly wants to be perceived as that.
Yeah, this guy's got no chance at 28.
He might have no chance, but it requires someone else, right? It requires...
Yes. And usually those someone else's emerge at this point. I mean, we're not that... I mean, in 27 is when the campaigns start, right? So, like, this is around the time somebody should be releasing a book to, like, hey, smoke some drugs back then, get all the stuff out of the way and then slowly roll out the campaign.
Yeah. Whereas the only books that we are, like, Chuck Schumer's As a Jew... Like, not you, Chuck. Literally anyone else. All right, cast iron balls quickly on the NFL draft because of the cultural moment that was Shedeur Sanders and his fall.
Also, did you guys watch the Bill Belichick interview?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's start with Bill Belichick then.
Some very uncomfortable 7 minutes.
Something is going to happen with Belichick. I don't know what, but this relationship is very weird. Like it was weird from the get-go because of the age gap, but
Are you suggesting this is some sort of an elder abuse situation?
It's approaching that. I can't find the right comp. Like I was saying to you earlier, Bob, the V. Stiviano Sterling thing is too far off because like Sterling was way out there. But like we're approaching some sort of weird taking advantage of the old geezer, maybe through, I don't know what sort of appeal she has besides being a 24-year-old.
I mean, you're alluding to boner pills here, obviously, which I'm sure he has a very healthy supply of. But also, can you be said to be taking advantage of a man who's living his best possible life?
If that's the extent of their relationship and maybe a little more, that'd be fine. But she is acting as if she's his PR person, like his assistant coach. Like she's,
as I saw frequently, I think in an athletic article and elsewhere, she's acting like his defensive coordinator in real life. It was a weird interview. I'll make sure there's a link to it in the show note. It starts off fairly normal.
Yeah,
like
he's
just very happy. Like
some book, right?
We got happy-go-lucky Tony DeCote there. Just wants to shoot the shit about Bill Belichick's book about winning.
Yeah.
And Bill is relatively happy to be there, right? This is not a guy who is comported himself as happy to be there at almost any point.
Sloppily attired, but that's his shtick.
Yeah. And yeah, he's just trying to sell this book about what it was like to be in it. And the first moment that it turned weird was when DeCopel was like, "So you make no mention of your buddy Robert Kraft in this book," and he's like, "Nope."
Yeah,
and then he says
the way he acts.
And then he said, "Wait,
not
and
okay."
then DeCopel says, "Not even in the acknowledgments." And Belichick is like, "Nope." Super fucking weird.
He acts very like a child the whole time.
Yeah.
Like not like a grown-up adult man, but like no.
Right.
Just very what's the word? Obstinate?
Well, sure. That's like he's a stubborn, obstinate man.
He would do that in press conferences, but that was supposed to be like a thing. Like, but apparently, word on the street was that he's more personable outside of the football. He didn't want to give the reporters anything, which makes sense. But like, he's selling a book. You're trying to sell a thing to like not a football audience.
Interviews.
And I thought
no
he was.
forced him.
I thought he was relatively personable in this interview.
But he felt very awkward to me.
Beyond the like, hey, you didn't mention your old boss. A couple of times, and then like he would not accept the fact that he was fired. That like we just mutually parted ways. Like I don't know. He said he fired your ass. Like it's like nope.
It was mutual. Yeah, sure it was. You really wanted to no longer run that fucking fiefdom as you had been running it for the last fucking 20 years. You were glad to no longer be running your own personal football fiefdom.
This could not be where he thought he would be, Belichick. I mean, this guy's like the greatest coach in the history of the NFL, and he was 15 games away from the wins record. He thought, okay, I get shit canned by this guy, this fucking asshole who I got him all these Super Bowls. He doesn't appreciate me. I'm going to have the pick of the litter, right? And no team, not even the hapless Falcons wanted him. Nobody in the NFL wanted him.
Not even the Giants.
Yeah.
Not even who he has fondness for and a history with.
Yes.
And who have a fucking worthless head coach.
Yes, I know. It's not like we got a good thing going here. We don't want to disrupt what we have here. Right? You would think he would go somewhere. And now he couldn't even get like a top tier college team. I mean, no offense to UNC, but they're not like a football school, right? I mean,
they're not a top no.
Right?
Anyway, burying the lead here because DeCopel then starts talking about the girlfriend. Yeah. He's like, well, you got a big age gap here, and you go on Instagram and post some fucking weird pictures. And
by the way, are fucking weird. He was trying to...
He's like, I'm not on Instagram.
I know, but the couple was trying to pass it off. Oh, this cute little thing.
Right? Isn't this charming? It's like, no, it's fucking weird that you've got your 24-year-old girlfriend up on your feet while you're laying down on the beach, and And it's funny because Belichick is like, I mean, I know that I'm on there, but I'm not. You're not going to find those apps on my phone. And I believe him, actually. Like, I don't think that he's like scrolling Instagram and like looking at his content.
But
that content is all put up there by the girlfriend.
This is all the girlfriend's doing, and he's just like obliging, which is, I guess he's a teammate in this relationship. Good for him. Very bizarre. Like the meet cute is like low hanging fruit. This is a softball kind of question. Like, how did y'all meet? And to react in such a way is so bizarre.
He didn't even get an opportunity to.
She jumped in.
Right, she jumped in immediately. Right, he didn't get an opportunity to be awkward or weird about it or to say anything at all.
And they said like she was very much present a lot for this interview.
Right. We're not answering those questions.
You're not in the interview. Like, what do you mean we?
Right.
Like, you're just there. It's very weird.
It's a non-answer that only raises more questions.
Yes, because what could be the answer? She met him like at some.
That's the thing. The only wholly inappropriate things now.
Right. The answer is clearly, well, do you know that where Robert Kraft, the spa treatment there in the strip mall in Tampa or whatever the fuck.
But like you can spin unless she was underage when they met. The only thing that makes it completely unacceptable and not just as weird as it already is, because it's already weird.
Right.
Like if she worked for him, that's kind of weird. And if she was a fucking call girl, that's kind of weird. But like, whatever, it's already weird.
Right.
What's the difference?
Right.
The only thing that would make it unmentionable is if it started 6 years ago.
Right. He was grooming her.
I mean, the problem is that
and it probably
you're saying is that it doesn't matter if she was a stripper or she was an escort or whatever, because like it's weird anyway.
Yeah.
But like if she was an escort and that's the answer, then that makes it harder for him to sell 1.4 million books or whatever he's looking to sell here, right? Like it's one thing to say I have this much younger girlfriend.
No. Pretty Woman was very successful.
Yeah, but not.
Come up with a lie then.
Yes,
come
also,
up with a reasonable lie. If you can't just we met through Robert Kraft. Like
anything
is better than don't answer that.
Yeah, if you played it naturally,
just say church.
Just say church.
Church.
Also, why not? I mean, if she's his like PR person on top of the other things, she's very terrible at PR. Why not talk to your old geezer boyfriend and say, hey, if they throw you this, here's a canned statement. But you have to say it. I can't be the 20-whatever-year-old jumping in. Like, you have to. Because he just looked befuddled. Like, oh, what is she saying? Yeah, I guess we're not answering that question. As if he doesn't know what's going on.
Some of the. I know what you're getting at here with your elder abuse theory. But, like, I find some of the coverage of this to be a little bit weird because it's like, well, I thought that fucking Alpha Bill Belichick was the one who was in charge around here. What's with the young hussy being in charge? And, like, that to me feels a little bit weird in terms of the we're assessing the power dynamics here and getting mad at the young woman for, like, asserting herself.
I'm not mad at her.
I
am concerned that this Belichick guy has lost his marbles. What's going on? A little more dignity, Bill.
Well.
Okay, Shedeur now.
All right, Shedeur Sanders was projected by Mel Kiper, anyway, to be the number one.
But even
lots of college football people.
Yeah, but like even if he wasn't number one overall, most had him 2, right? Like I mean, I think Mel Kiper had him 1 overall, but it's not like he was an outlier or anybody else had him like last. So like consensus, a top 2 quarterback.
I want to say this is a story because, of course, the last name is Sanders and because they've been in the news for the last few years. This is not a big deal. This is a bad. It's a bad quarterbacks class where there's probably not a single franchise quarterback in the group. Like
Cam Ward
I will
might
be very surprised if Cam Ward turns out to be a good NFL quarterback.
Especially if you go into a garbage team like the Titans, you're not going to go anywhere anyway.
Right, but we watched him play in Miami, and again, like he's one of those classic fucking run around and make shit happen kind of quarterbacks, and that doesn't work at the next level unless you're like Mike Vick.
Better.
Like you have to be next level Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick, like Pat Mahomes, like, and he's not that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is not a bunch of all pros in this draft class. So like we're talking about there will be a name that sticks in the league for 10 years, right? Like, but you don't know who of the fucking 8 quarterbacks or whatever is going to be the one who surprises you.
Maybe Jackson Dart. Who knows?
I have my doubts. You thought that the fucking Giants quarterback room couldn't get any dumber.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
It is the best.
because you already hate him.
And we add Jackson Dart to the situation.
JAXS? Is that what it is?
JAXSON.
JAXS.
Do you know what purpose the X serves in the English
Emphasis.
language?
Extreme.
It serves
Jackson.
It serves the purpose of that S all by itself.
No.
You don't need to add
Jackson.
an
Jackson.
S once you're spelling your name with an X in it. Anyway,
Dart.
obviously the only reason that we're talking about this is because it's Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders, not because this was a potential number 1 pick who fell a few rounds because he had some bad interviews.
Right, but it's hard to separate the two because not only was he graded to be somewhere in the first round, like because of his old man, his jersey is retired at a school that typically does not retire jerseys with a very middling record. I mean, that's very weird what happened with Colorado, that they're retiring his jersey.
But his jersey's retired because Deion Sanders said we're going to retire his jersey.
Right. Yes. But the sequence of
It's
events...
not because like there's some august institution at Colorado that came to this revered decision to retire his jersey. They did it for the fucking gram,
Right.
Abe. What are you talking about?
But the sequence of
It's
events...
interesting.
The sequence of events is this person's number's retired. He's thought to be one of the 2 top quarterbacks. He not only drops, like what, Aaron Rodgers, who was...
This person's number you're doing a double hand job.
No.
Abe. This is
What do they call it? Ski poles?
The sequence of events is what made this story kind of blow up, because it is like you are touted to be this thing, despite the fact that if you watch him play, he's, average. And then, like, there are all these reports coming out saying that he apparently...
He's not even that good on an average team, is what's crazy. Right. Like, he didn't... Like, to me, we watched more Colorado football than we should have this year for obvious reasons. But, like, he didn't elevate that team through his play. He had Travis Hunter, who's a fucking freak athlete out there. And then he could hit the open long ball, right? Like... It's not like you watched him and were like, oh, holy shit, look at this guy picking this defense apart.
By the way, and a brief aside, Travis Hunter, great player, no Shohei Ohtani. There's not going to be a Shohei Ohtani kind of thing where he's... Oh,
yeah? He's not going to go 2 ways here?
I mean, he will try, and then it will fail, and then
By
he'll
the
do
way,
one thing.
your boy Shohei isn't even Shohei anymore, and nobody will acknowledge the fact that he's never going to start... Like, he's not going to start 30 games again.
Give it time. You got to work him back in. You can't rush these things.
He is going to pitch like 80 innings a year at most and hit a ton of dingers, and that will be very cool. But like what he did these the first few years of his career will not be replicated.
Did you read the Athletic article about Shedeur and what they think happened?
I mean, I don't think you can say the Athletic article. I imagine that there were like 11.
There was one that matters.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I did. I read
about the backup quarterback.
About how he's going to be a backup quarterback and how he is not a person who is likely to comport himself admirably in that role. Basically,
yes. So like the teams that like everybody either has their quarterback or like the ones that need their quarterback, he wasn't going to be that. Right. They weren't sure about him talent-wise with that. And then everybody else is looking for a backup. Right. And his attitude is the opposite of what you want in a backup. Right. So that's why all the way to Cleveland. Apparently exemplified or as illustrated by himself in his interviews with these different clubs, right? Like he apparently sandbagged interviews for franchises that he didn't want to play for. Because he thought he had his choice of things. Maybe he bought into all the pre-draft hype. Like, you know how Wonderlic scored... Can you buy into pre-draft hype if you are the author of all of the fucking pre-draft hype? Like, you're treating this as though it's, as though objectively speaking,
Well, he had his number retired.
He had his number
there was all
retired.
of this hype.
Mel
It's
Kiper
like, this
Jr.
was a child who is the father is like the godfather of the modern hype machine.
He
right?
did sort of make hype.
Right, but
Like
look at the perspective of Shedeur, right? You're experiencing life as Shedeur Sanders, right? Like the school retired jersey, you're not thinking your dad did it. Like, come on.
Really?
They did not retire Shiloh Sanders' jersey, right? He's his kid too, right?
He's still playing, isn't he?
And I think he got drafted by the Bucks, undrafted. But like, again, and then you have Mel Kiper talking you up, right? You have the draft boards. Look at maybe one or two who's going
Why
to get
did
me.
Mel Kiper get so mad?
Because he was like, I'm being
'Cause he was
proven
wrong.
Imagine you say this guy is going to be this great thing, and he gets drafted after Jalen Milroe and like random ass quarterbacks. Gabriel, what's his face, the Oregon kid. Like there were so many quarterbacks taken.
Jackson.
What is the Cleveland quarterback room now?
I have
though? Because
no idea what they're doing.
Rapist?
Yes.
you have a hurt Deshaun Watson who probably will never play another down for you. You have Joe Flacco,
Who is done?
who's fucking our age, I think.
Yes.
You have, didn't they? Because they drafted two.
They drafted Dylan Gabriel.
And they drafted Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. Where
just
did
happened?
Abe go?
I don't know. Let's see if he pops back in.
Very pretty.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you
We
now.
can
yes,
hear you,
but we
but
can't
where
see you.
are
I don't
you?
know what happened. I don't know what's happening still. Like I'm hearing y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna come out and come back in. Give me 1 second.
All right. Yo,
I don't know what that was.
you're soft again, so you must have had some sort of reboot.
But nothing rebooted, and actually, I was able to see y'all the whole time through the whole thing.
Good thing we didn't do anything weird.
Yeah, didn't say anything disparaging. Oh, that's bum.
It's fucking Abe.
By the way, Jackson Dart's brother's name Diesel Dart.
Beazle?
Diesel.
Oh, diesel, like
Yeah.
as opposed to a regular gasoline.
Yes. I don't know which
Like
is
a dog.
prefer-
You name a dog Diesel.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett is the fourth person apparently on the Browns roster
It's
as
a
a
lot
quarterback.
of quarterbacks.
I guess you see Shedeur sitting there in the fifth round, and it's just a value pick, right? Is what
Right.
Yeah, why
Cleveland is
not?
thinking? Because maybe you can trade. He's a distressed asset, and you can trade him later. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why would you want that headache at that point? But he was going to get drafted at some point. So
I mean, if you have Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco on the depth chart ahead of him, on like week one, you're getting the we want Shedeur, we want
Right,
Shedeur
yeah.
chance, right?
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it's a dumb fan base at this point. Like the only ones left still rooting for the Browns must be pretty dumb. So
that's true. Or they're just from
Not
Cleveland.
like the
you know?
Giants.
What else you got to root for over there?
anyway, is there racisms here? Is there? Do we have?
I always
Because
thought
there's a million explanations for why Shedeur Sanders fell, and to me, all of them are utter nonsense, with the exception of the fact that he isn't that good of a quarterback, and also represents a definite headache, right? And so,
Right.
like the upside is maybe, and the downside is definitely.
Right.
So,
But the only question
pretty
is,
simple calculation here.
like, the only thing that was weird, and again, because of the way it was perceived as far as the draft, how it was going to play out, the fact that he fell so far, I think Thursday was the first round, Friday we were 2 and 3, and the rest was Saturday. So this is on the third day. Like this was just it's a good thing he did not show up in person for this. That would have been very embarrassing. But like for 3 days, it was not clear where he was going to go. And there was even like some snot-nosed kid who's the kid of the defensive coordinator
That
for the
sucks.
Falcons. Somehow, the phone number fell off a truck at home, and he used it not
Into
only
his
to
phone.
not only to prank call Sanders, but also record it, incriminate yourself with video footage of you doing the thing. I think his friend was actually doing the call, and he was right there with him.
Yeah.
But that's
you do it for the gram. You do it for Snapchat.
But remarkably poor judgment on his
I would
part.
like to read briefly from the Atlanta Falcons official statement that was released by the team afterwards, because this is one of the worst English language sentences that I've ever come across, and I've read some very bad English language sentences.
Is it so bad that you're ruling out AI? Like, this has to be like some human
It
person?
almost has to be either not AI or AI that was then edited poorly by some fucking idiot PR person.
Yeah.
But, all right. Earlier in the week, Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, unintentionally came across the draft contact phone number for Shedeur Sanders off an open iPad while visiting his parents' home and wrote the number down to later conduct a prank call. Period. Wow, is that a bad sentence? Not least of which because it says Shedeur Sanders off an open iPad. This is supposed to be a professional organization in the Atlanta Falcons, and they're saying that he got the number off an iPad? Like, what does it mean to get it off an iPad exactly?
Like those magic tricks where they make it look like there's a picture on the iPad and then they pull it and it's an ice cream cone. It's like that.
Yeah. Jeff
What
Ulbrich,
did the guy, he said that the context gets sucked in to signal?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing here.
Jeff Ulbrich was unaware of the data exposure or any facets of the prank and was made aware of the above only after the fact. It's just very, very bad work by the Falcons PR people.
Well, it's the football. It's not the literature.
Apparently, one of the reasons why they were like, it has to be from somebody in the know is because apparently they give these players like a burner number, like that's
right.
And they give it to all. So like they're like, because this was floated around as a possibility, and I was like, there's no way some NFL associated person would do this. Like, but the son of that person makes sense in retrospect. But basically, they were saying like the only person that would have that number would be just for the draft purpose. So it's not like a Colorado student somehow had Shedeur Sanders' number. It must have been something more recent.
We are thoroughly reviewing all protocols and updating if necessary to help prevent an incident like this from happening again. Which protocols are that? Just not going to give the phone number to the coaching staff, I guess?
Right. But maybe like, it sounds like the old man had the iPad open and the kid over the shoulder was like, oh, look at this information. And
super
wrote
shitty.
down the information or took a picture.
I don't know. Is it that shitty or is it fine?
That's really mean.
I didn't see the video
It's
of
kind of
it.
cruel.
It's mean. Don't
apparently-
be mean.
Apparently, this happened to other players too. The kid that the Colts got,
shouldn't.
Tyler Warren, also had like a prank call. There were a couple of instances
Sucks.
where,
Don't do that.
Oh, whatever. They'll be fine.
I'm gonna fight and die.
So is it racist? What is that?
I'm gonna fight and die. That guy, the offensive lineman from the South. I don't know. My favorite part of the draft was that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna fight and die.
To be able to get my name called by a franchise like New England, it means everything to me.
We can feel that. We absolutely can feel that, Will. You are brought to New England to protect Drake May. What kind of tone are you going to set on this offensive line?
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I've got.
Congratulations.
LSU offensive lineman, I think.
Yeah. I can't think of anybody, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty, who has had more breaks in their life than Shedeur Sanders. He's led a charmed life, so
Yeah.
to have this person all of a sudden be the victim of some, racial thing seems kind of ridiculous. Like, you just fucked the interview. Like, maybe you just were so pompous that people were like, why are we even drafting him? Like, let's just do away with him.
Right. Also, Cam Ward, pretty black.
Lots of black people
Jalen
did get
Milroe,
drafted.
also black. Yeah, it's boy, they're terrible quarterbacks this year. Holy shit!
But also, there's no. It's just like all of the talk about the behavior stuff and the attitude stuff is fine, but also it just doesn't seem to me to be that big of a deal that a mediocre quarterback fell to a mediocre team at a mediocre draft spot.
if he was very humble in his interviews, because like there was I think one of the stories, there's been so many stories about this guy. One of them was like, I think it was either the Giants, the bowl guy, like he put something incorrect in the plays or like some install, and like he didn't catch it. Like basically he was like trying to see if the quarterbacks that they interviewed read the stuff they gave him, and apparently Shedeur Sanders did not recognize it to call it out. And so, like, if he were to do well in those settings, he would have been drafted in the second round, right? Like, even with his mediocre self. The fifth round is like, not only are you mediocre, you're a fucking asshole. And it's like, that's like a double whammy. So off you go to the fifth.
There's just, like, to me, you should have no expectation about where you ought to be drafted, and you can look at the history
but Deion Sanders' son is going to have an expectation.
Right. And not to beat a dead horse here, but Tom Brady, the 7th round, the 199th pick or whatever, like great players end up in the NFL not drafted in the top fucking 15 picks. Calm yourself down.
Yeah. But Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant a couple of years ago. Look at him now.
None of this will matter if he's a washout or if he's good. Right, like it's such a classic story of nothingness in that it won't matter at all, and it's only a story because there was literally nothing else interesting that happened during the draft,
except I'm on fight and die.
There's nothing good or interesting happened. It was a very boring draft. There's not very many good players.
What did you make of? Maybe I started watching us like 30 seconds too late. What was Goodell doing on the bicycle? What was that?
Oh, no, the bicycle. So apparently, Green Bay has a tradition.
Oh, that's right.
Of bicycles.
Okay.
That's the bit.
Okay. That makes sense now. I think I recall that, yes.
I was watching that spectacle on last Thursday night, and I guess to their credit, they filled the fucking place, right? Like there's many fans there.
Ever since they moved it to random different cities, like they've been like when they were in Nashville, there were just so many people. Detroit.
I cannot fathom the entertainment value of going and standing in a crowd of 10 or 12,000 people or however many people they have there, and just standing there and yelling for 3 hours. As once every 15 fucking minutes, somebody walks out and says a name with which I am only vaguely familiar.
Boo!
You can tell by in the background that they have like a live band there, to keep the crowd entertaining.
Yeah, they had a band.
You can just chummy it up, talk about your fantasy season last year to strangers.
Abe would go.
Yeah,
Abe likes doing stuff.
Like, yeah,
if it were in Atlanta, Abe would go to the draft.
Oh yeah, whenever they come to Atlanta, I'm gonna be there.
You would go to the NFL draft.
I'm going to report live.
Put
what
on
did you
your
do
Colts
this weekend? I was there
Abe, all
3 days. I mean, Thursday you can understand, Bob. These are the top primo players. I was watching part of Saturdays, and this is like very deep, and there was still a good chunk of people there on a Saturday.
13 Bulldogs drafted.
Oh, nice.
So we learned something, or I learned something, because I couldn't stand watching the ESPN broadcast because of that fucking guy's awful outfit. So we were watching the NFL Network
Adam
one.
Schefter was wearing a sports coat, and under the sports coat,
like a weird.
It was a thin hoodie.
But not thin enough.
T-shirt material
and
hoodie.
The color was all very blue. The whole thing was. I immediately changed the channel. I was like, oh no.
Do you think amazing how one item of clothing can you can learn so much about the relative level of douchebaggery.
I can't believe you still plan on doing more show right now.
How divorced might this individual be, or be about to be, or like how active is Adam Schefter on the apps? And you can say, based on the hoodie under the sports coat, I'm going to say that he's very active on the apps.
You're not planning on doing a fucking Strassmann, are you?
Oh, we sure are doing
Bob,
Strassmann.
we got to go to bed. It's 11 o'clock.
Do you think a producer told them, like, I'm not saying no, but, like, are we sure about this? Like, you think to Schefter right before he went on air, like, are we sure about this? I'm just asking.
bad
nuts.
look. It screams douchebag at the airport for some reason to me. Like there's something about that getup that's like, well, I might be cold.
That's right.
I need a versatile
You can't put the
situation
hoodie
here.
over the blazer.
Yeah.
But we got to go to bed.
You
We have
said
to
that-
ask Abe what movie he
You
saw.
said you learned something?
If you're going to... I can't talk about it because we got to go to bed.
Oh, calm down, lady. What
I
did you learn?
can't because you're going to keep me up for another fucking 45 minutes, I can tell.
No, I'm not. We didn't even watch anything.
So turn it off.
No, we didn't watch anything, so there's no 45 minutes left of fucking conversation.
There's Abe that will
Stop
talk.
trying to produce the show in the middle of the show. What did you learn?
It doesn't matter.
All right, cool. All right, Abe. Good news. We have just enough time to sneak
not
in
true.
a quick did CBS News' senior national news correspondent Mark Strassmann get off a good one?
And when I woke up this morning and I'm shaving and Malia knocks on my bathroom door and she peeks in her head and she says, did you plug the hole yet, Daddy?
Real quick, did you...
Is she talking about how well she clogged the toilet?
Did you plug the hole yet, Daddy?
How well did you clog the toilet? Too well.
Is that the most a president has ever? That's what she said on television.
Probably not.
Did you plug the hole yet, Daddy?
Frustrated President Obama more than 5 weeks into the 2010 BP oil spill. It would take 7 more weeks to plug the hole, but restoration of the environment, 15 years later, it's not over yet. Mark Strassmann has tonight's Eye on America.
Off Grand Isle, Louisiana, a sport fishing paradise, dolphins escorted us during our trip to the Gulf on Captain Craig Belkowitz's charter boat. He wanted to show us what matters here. The redfish are biting.
And if the fish weren't here, the dolphins wouldn't be here.
That's right.
Another sign that this place is recovered.
It's recovered.
Recovered slowly over 15 years. Grand Isle remembers the summer of 2010, the panic across the Gulf.
BP did this? They destroyed us.
Gushing like BP's ruptured well. A feeling of helplessness, frantic efforts to cap the well, bungled attempts to stop ribbons of rust-colored crude from poisoning beaches and wetlands. We covered BP's disastrous spill for 4 months.
All this oil, this is so heavy I can barely lift it, is part of a 16-mile slick.
134 million gallons gushed into the Gulf. Grand Isle became Grand Oil, stuck in the muck of disaster. Mayor David Camerdahl fought tears.
I'm gonna lose this place when I know I'm trying my best.
We caught up with him again 15 years later on the same beach.
You were very emotional.
Seeing that all coming through, it was a whole different world for us.
Has Grand Isle recovered?
As the environment moved, it got better and better, we find, and the storms kind of came and pushed some big waves here and kind of pushed the other stuff out.
But below the surface, a different story. Back in 2015, Chris Hernandez showed us his oyster beds, covered in sheen.
Who's going to eat oyster that tastes like oil?
He told us recently those beds have never recovered. No surprise, the spill had a devastating impact on marine life, coastal ecosystems, and wetlands. Over the last 15 years, some of it has recovered, and some of it hasn't. Louisiana restored this bird island, home to brown pelicans, herons, and gulls. BP money paid for this $18 million project. Maurice Chantelier is the program's administrator.
We're into the restoration phase now, where we're trying to make right and bring those populations back.
But NOAA shot this underwater footage near the BP wellhead in 2017. Researchers saw almost no signs of life. They went back to the same area last year and say it looks much the same. 100 miles away, back on Grand Isle, Camerdale still has his fears.
And I still think there's a little poison. I shouldn't say it that way, but it still could pop up in the ground.
Even 15 years later, you have that worry.
I do.
It took BP 4 months to seal the well, but there's still no cap on the lingering distrust. For Eye on America, Mark Strassmann in Grand Isle, Louisiana.
All right, Abe. Did senior national news correspondent Mark Strassmann of CBS News get off a good one?
Yes, he did. He got a couple of good ones.
Strassmann gets off a good one.
I think I missed one, but one was Stuck in the Muck of Disaster, and then it's right at the end. No cap on the whatever. I forget what he said just now.
Mistrust.
But mistrust, yeah.
No cap indeed there from Abe or from Strassmann. Certainly a good one in my book. What a bummer that whole situation was.
I know. Boy, he's still plugging away that Strassmann.
I remember thinking, much like the young President Obama's young daughter at the time, like, we can't just fucking fix this. Like, and it was a very naive thought, certainly, but like,
go turn it off somewhere up the line.
Just go fucking fix it. What are we doing here? Just go fix it. And if we can't fix it, then like, what the fuck are we doing down there in the first place? If this is the sort of thing that is an apparent inevitability.
Is that what Marky Mark's movie was about? Deepwater Horizon?
Yeah, he did do one of those, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's always playing those hero roles, right? Like,
you got to know your audience, you know, they're into it.
Is he producing the movies?
Yeah, probably.
Then he can choose whatever.
Yeah.
You make a movie, you can play whatever you want.
Like Kerry Washington, she produced this movie, you know?
Nice segue.
We're getting there, Abe. Calm down. I don't need
Abe
both of you.
Abe has to go to work tomorrow,
I don't need
too.
both of you breathing down my neck to move things along here.
2 out of the 3 of us have jobs to go to in the morning.
I'll be out of bed before either one of you tomorrow morning. I
yeah,
guarantee
and then
it.
you can do whatever the fuck.
You've been listening to Cast Iron Brains, a podcast with Bob and Abe. Find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com for more from us, including later in the week, although we will not be recording an episode tonight. But later in the week, you can find the Billboard Hot 100 game where we discuss the degradation of the culture. It's always a great deal of fun. I play music. It's all fair use. It's all fine. It's definitely not infringing on anyone's copyright. So don't alert any authorities.
We also only say nice things.
Yeah, we only ever say nice things about the music that we listen to. Never talk about things that we hate in enjoyable and humorous fashion. The opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com. For more from Mark. Abe, tell me about the Kerry Washington movie that is review embargoed for another 10 days or so.
That's right. And if you're listening before May 8th, disregard what I'm going to say until then. So Shadow Force, as the name implies.
By the way, does a review embargo apply to just any random fucko who bought a $20 ticket? Or is it like an actual publication?
They worded it in such a way that it means anything, like any sort of mention online or whatever.
Okay.
Like,
did you sign something?
No, it was an ask. You know, I don't think it's enforceable. Anyways,
I would hate for you to blow any potential like professional or personal deals you might be able to work with Miss One Kerry Washington in the future.
So Kerry Washington at the top. So this movie is Shadow Force. It's about this Shadow Force, this multinational special forces, like we do the dirty work for the global order thing. And Kerry Washington's like an assassin, and she
buy it.
She and another assassin fall in love, and they
Again,
leave.
totally
This is, I guess,
plausible.
the special force thing is like a gang. If you leave, you die. You can't leave. So she goes on the lam. He takes care of their kid in like hiding or whatever, and obviously this whole thing falls apart because the father is in a bank with his kid, and some robbers come, and he has to do his save the day heroics. He could have just let the robbers take the money and go. It's not his money, but he's like, no, I'm going to endanger my child because I have a special set of skills, and he beat them all up and, you know, whatever. Anyways, he was caught on CCTV. The Shadow Force people like, hey, this guy is there.
Oh, we recognize those sorts of
one
protocols.
of ours.
Yeah, he's one of, he's got the signature moves of killing people with ease, you know. We got to go get him. And so that brings Kerry Washington out of hiding, and then they get into some hijinks where they're trying to escape as a family from the evildoers that are trying to come after them. And, you know, they successfully do it, you know. They're able to beat all the bad guys, and everything goes well.
Spoilers.
In the right before the movie started, Kerry Washington to explain, like, she's like, you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to be part of this project, you know, they always use those words, project is that I guess I don't remember this, but I think she was like in Mr. and Mrs. Smith or some movie like years ago, and she was like her like the best friend or the sidekick, and she's like, I wanted one day to be the main person kicking ass, you know. So I was like, I want to do this, and she's not very convincing in it. She's a very petite woman. I don't know if you've ever seen Kerry Washington, especially in person, very small.
They're all small.
Yeah, they're all small, but like the movie is fine. You know, I don't think it's going to do a lot of numbers, even though it's getting a wide release in a couple of weeks. It's playing everywhere here in Atlanta in a couple of weeks. I don't think it's going to come and go. It's like an okay movie, not particularly good. There's a guy from, like, a French actor in one of the Netflix shows. Like, he's like I should remember his name, but he plays the husband. I forget his name. But basically, he's kind of like the doting father, and she's like the absentee parent. They're trying to do some sort of stereotypical reverse kind of roles where he's kind of like the stay-at-home person. But overall, the movie was fine. I did also see The Accountant 2. No embargo on this one. It was released. Yep. I don't know if you guys have seen the first Accountant.
I don't think I did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck is an accountant, but also he's a badass, and also he's autistic. I will say, I had the same problem with the first one, but the second one, there is a very delicate balance to being non-autistic, playing an autistic character, and Ben Affleck does not do a very good job at it, and it just sometimes I'm like, is he doing this for laughs or is he like seriously autistic? Like, what is happening? Like, it's a very
and also, what's the difference?
That's interesting.
But his brother, Joe Barenthal, the guy, he's everywhere. Like I think he's been in a lot of movies.
He's on the
Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead guy. Yeah, very charming guy.
He's the dead brother in the Chef show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. He is the brother of. He's not autistic, but he does not like the fact that his autistic brother, basically I don't know if this is a condition, if this is a symptom of being autistic, but basically out of sight, out of mind. He's like, as soon as they're not around each other, he doesn't think about him. He's like, how come you never like call me? Like, you only call me when you need something, you know? And then Ben Affleck does the I'm autistic kind of face, not convincingly again. I think just for the entertainment value, it's worth a watch just to see Ben Affleck pretending.
I've heard nothing but good things up until you here about this movie. People seem to like it.
Maybe I just don't have experience with it, but it's not a convincing thing. That there was a scene where, you know, to blow off steam, you know, they're like in hiding, and then Joe Barenthal, he's like, let's go to the honky tonk fucking club and just kind of, you know, drink some and like dance and just kind of have fun or whatever. And he goes there and he figures out how to do some like line dance. What is that country music shit that they do?
Yep, that.
And then like some hillbillies, they don't take too kindly to him like dancing, charming the pants off some woman that's there. They don't seem to mind his autistic self, like they find it endearing. Right. And then some hillbillies like, how dare you? But then they're like killers, and they're like, oh, great, we'll beat the shit out of them and like leave the bar. And there are scenes like that.
I wonder if Affleck was like method during this and did his autistic thing offset also while he was filming. So there's the Robert Downey Jr. character from Tropic Thunder.
That's right, yeah.
Yo, asshole! This motherfucker's dead. Ain't no Chris Angel mind freak, David Blaine trapdoor horse shit jumping off here. Hey, you want to get on the train here, or you want to ruin another take, huh? There ain't no goddamn takes. Ain't no goddamn motion picture.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
For certain, man.
Why are you still in character?
I know, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't know.
Man, I don't drop character till I've done the DVD commentary.
You stay in character until you get to the DVD commentary.
So that would be hilarious if he did keep up with that. But anyways, I found it mostly entertaining. But there is
Why is it okay for actors to play autists, but like, you know, in the Tropic Thunder version of things, you never go full retard?
That's right. Yeah.
But
Simple Jack thought he was smart, or rather didn't think he was retarded, so he can't afford to play retarded, being a smart actor. Playing a guy who ain't smart but thinks he is, that's tricky. Tricky. It's like working with mercury. It's high science, man. It's art form.
Yeah.
You an artist.
That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hats off for going there. Especially knowing how the Academy is about that shit.
Wait. About what?
You're serious? You don't know? Everybody knows you never go full retard.
What do you mean?
Check it out. Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man, look retarded, act retarded, not retarded. Count two picks, cheated cards. Autistic, show, not retarded. You got Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Slow, yes, retarded maybe, braces on his legs, but he charmed the pants off next to him and won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded. He was a goddamn war hero. Right. You know any retarded war heroes? You went full retard, man. Never go full retard. You don't buy that? That's Sean Penn, 2001, I Am Sam. Remember? Went full retard. Went home empty-handed.
Simple Jack, was it? What was the character?
Simple Jack. And like, it didn't work for one of our finest actors, not Jude Law, but the guy who said one of our finest actors. Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Played,
I Am Sam,
was
right?
it About Sam or something?
I Am
right?
Sam or something?
I Am Sam.
I Am Sam, that's right. That didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump worked just fine.
Also, Bradley Cooper in that other movie.
Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah.
Is he an autist, or is he... is that a movie about an autist?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't. That's the thing. Like, I think that if it were made today, they would just say he's on the spectrum.
What did they say with Rain
Like,
Man? Did they say autistic or just something else?
I think Rain Man was pretty clearly autistic, right? Like, he was...
Right, but did they...
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, I don't
did they
like
say it?
Yeah. Okay.
It is quite a spectrum of disease, though.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why
Like,
it's a good...
and a truly... Because, like, people were giving RFK shit for talking about how, like, these are people who won't ever even be able to go to the bathroom on their own, and they can't even function.
Can't hold down jobs.
Right, but that's true. Like, there are versions of
Yeah,
autism
and then some of them are Elon Musk.
that are fully fucking debilitating, right?
Right.
And they really can't live on their own. But it's what makes it such a weird fucking disease that, like, on the other hand, sometimes you're just a fucking weirdo, right? As opposed to being unable to care for yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. That's pretty good. World premiere, Hollywood style movie, and also The Accountant 2.
The Accountant 2.
Quite a cultured man you are, and also a mountain. Quite a week for Abe.
Gotta follow that up with Thunderbolts or what are some like third tier Marvel bullshit this weekend.
Yeah. Lori, what did we watch?
We didn't watch shit.
Didn't watch
we
anything.
watched a bunch of YouTube.
Watched a bunch of YouTube, like Little League, how to teach your kid to hit good.
These dudes.
Videos. All the bros suck.
When I met Bob, I didn't like baseball. I didn't like baseball. I was like, baseball. And now it's all I think about.
But yeah, there's no time. There's no time for television.
There's no time for anything. I don't even want to think about anything else.
It's insane how much time we devote to this fucking Little League. Like, I even have to go across town to Sam's Club, which is it's like fucking 30 minutes away. And
so
this is not a
fucking
very
far.
big town, but like to get to the goddamn Sam's Club, it's like an hour round trip plus the time in the store. And I have to do that like twice a week to get bullshit for the fucking concession stand. It sucks ass. So running a Little League, it's no small endeavor.
What if we did it for the next 30 years?
Well, we might.
No.
Hey, you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight then. Just 2.5 hours. And we will talk to you next time.
Later.
Some of my clients are nice enough to be like, ask questions about baseball. And I'm like, thank you. Because it's literally all I have to talk about.
Yes. That's very considerate, yeah.
It is amazing how much it dominates.
Baseball is life. I'm Bob. I'm going to write about how baseball's life. Then I'm going to make it everybody else's life.
When can we do a billboard game? Tomorrow night? Does that work?
Yeah, tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah, I'm good tomorrow.
Oh yeah, when is Thunderbolts scheduled? If not,
Sunday. That's right, Sunday. Actually, yeah. So this week, Friday, I'm recording the other podcast, and then Saturday, me and some of my siblings are going to the Braves game. The Dodgers are in town.
Nice.
I'm doing a Dodgers Braves in Atlanta, and then next Saturday I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to see the Braves twice, maybe back to back.
Are you taking time off work to go to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, I have like 5 years of vacation leave.
Yeah.
Do you have? You just staying in hotels? I take it.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay at a hotel.
Nice. What's the drive time to Pittsburgh?
So it's 11 hours. So I'm thinking Thursday I'm going to break. I'm going to go to Columbus. It's not going to work out, but Metallica is in town in Columbus, Ohio. But they're performing on...
Abe, the time that I went to Pittsburgh, I had also gone to Columbus and seen a concert.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, but no kidding. This seems to be like a very metal heavy... What was that group that you were making fun of, Bob? 3 Days Grace?
Nickelback.
Yeah,
they're there.
Yes.
It was like one of those things, but it's like... I think they're performing Friday. I think Thursday is like Korn or some weird shit. I don't want to see them. So... I may just kind of take a time.
I don't know. A Korn show would be pretty good people watching for you. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're going to stay in Columbus?
Yeah.
And then...
So Columbus Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday and Sunday Pittsburgh, and I'll just drive all the way back.
An 11-hour drive back on Sunday?
Which is what I did with Chicago. I went to Louisville and then Chicago and then all the way back to Atlanta on Sunday.
How many Buc-ee's have you mapped out?
I don't have to map.
north.
They tell you in 200 miles, take a left. I was like, all right, I'll see you in 200 miles.
All right, fucking 9 o'clock tomorrow night.
9
Does that work?
o'clock. That works.
All right, cool.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.